All right, welcome back to OG Boxing Talk. We should have a really good one this weekend. This morning was good to everybody in the chat. Let's do our introductions real. Actually, let me say what's up to the people in the chat real quick. Y'all got to forgive me. I don't have my routine down pat for OG Boxing Talk. Harold Jones in the building. What's going on, man? BG313. Kels C, what's going on? Omar C, GB Boxing, Mark Blake, what's going on? Adrian, what's happening with you? Mark Ambrose, Little 95, Rome Far Rock, H-Town 713, what's good? Gregory Wise, smash that like button on the way into the stream. Please do. Main event, Mark, man, how'd it go, man? How was that fight last night? He said, getting a slow clap going. Who's your stylist? What's up? Perry Gale, what's going on? Demetrius Cowan, Cypher Supreme TV, St. Cruisin, Michael James, Tim TV 212, Donald the OG, the 64-year-old OG, Grant. What is going on with you, man? Let me do something real quick. There you go. Mark Ambrose, Little 5, I think that's what's up to everybody in the chat. Man, Adewale M, man, I ain't seen you in a minute, Adewale M. What's going on with you, man? So hey, we have 3 people in the building right now. I don't expect KQKC to show up this morning on time since he had a marathon 9-hour show last night. So I'm quite sure his voice is gone, and you know the dude's real tired. Shoot, I was sipping on some scotch watching my dude from New Orleans fight a Scotch dude, and I was like, dang, in the middle of the afternoon, I was like, shit, I forgot. It's the middle of the fucking afternoon. So I couldn't do the rest of my stream. So I feel for KQ. But Curtis Anderson, get an intro, let them know how to get in contact with you, all that good stuff.
What's going on, everybody in the chat? What's going on, Fanon and Blood, man? My name is Curtis Anderson, aka Kurt Sugar. I'm on Blue Blood Live TV from Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's Blue Blood Live TV, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. And of course, OG Boxing Talk, Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Blood, go ahead and let them know your business, man.
What's up? What's up? It's your boy Blood Boxing. I'm back this Sunday morning. I'm here with the OGs. KQKC is sleeping right now. We'll wait. We ready to deliver you a great show. I'm up in here with Fanon the Don, and I'm up for Fanon. Go on mute. I'm up with Fanon the Don and Kurt Anderson Sugar. My big brothers. And hey man, it was a great weekend of boxing. We looking forward to doing our thing, man. So let's get this shit rolling. That's what I could say. Yes, sir.
All right, hold on one second, man. I got that was KQKC. KQKC has risen from the dead, so he will be on the stream. Let's start this conversation though with man, it was the return. I gotta say something about you UK dudes, man. I missed you. I missed you. You guys, I had 4 trolls last night that I had not seen in forever. Because once AJ got knocked down 4 times and quit against the ropes, all of a sudden they stopped leaving comments. But I slipped up last night. They caught me slipping, and I said that I thought the Regis Prograis fight was a robbery. I really didn't mean it. I was just pissed off at the time, you know, and it was a live stream. I don't think that fight was a robbery. I think Prograis won, but it went the way that I predicted it would go. It would be a close fight, but I just want to let you guys know I'm hoping so much that this fight with Regis Prograis can get you trolls from up underneath your rocks, because boxing is much more fun when you guys come around and say stupid shit that we can swat away like flies all week long. But it seems as if you guys were back, and it was nice seeing you guys for a little while. If AJ wins, I'm quite sure you guys will be back in full steam. So welcome back. Welcome back to the land of the living. We're gonna start this show off though by talking about the fight. let's take some fight reviews from last week. I'm not sure. We got 125 people in the building. Let me ask your opinion, because Blood Boxing was. I asked Blood Boxing if I could moderate this week, even though we had an agreement that he would moderate. But I decided to ask him if I could moderate, and he allowed me to do it. I wasn't quite ready to give up. I wasn't quite willing to give up the control of the show, so he cut me a break. Blood, should we talk about the fight reviews first or the WBC rulings while we wait for people to come in the show? What are your thoughts?
What about the people, man? Y'all let us know. What do y'all want us to talk about first? Y'all want us to talk about these fight reviews, or do you guys want us to talk about the WBC's bitch ass? Which one first? Come on, give us something in the comment section. Y'all give us something now. Come on now, give us something. Give us something. I see y'all saluting each other. Hit the like button. Yeah, that's right. Hit the like button too. Oh, they want to talk about the WBC, it look like, bro. It look like they want to get right into the WBC. WBC across the board. Here we go.
Okay. All right.
Kick us off, bro. Kick us off.
Since we're doing that, let's review. We had a few rulings from the WBC come up last week. Two of them were, I think, the most controversial. One was that Dillian White. Well, let's start with the least controversial for me. It was announced by the WBC that Dillian White, even if he is cleared by UCAD for his performance-enhancing drug positive test that he had before Oscar Rivas, that it will be at least until the year 2021 before Deontay Wilder will be forced to face him. So what that means is that Dillian White basically, de facto has had his number one status or his mandatory status suspended for at least 1 year. What are your thoughts on that particular circumstance? Let's go to Curtis Anderson first. Let me know about that. What you think about that, man?
These sanctioning bodies and the Dillian White situation, they can do whatever they want. Where's the B sample? This is boxing, unfortunately. There's nobody policing the police. There's no federal commission, so there's nobody to look after them. Once again, where's the B sample? And Dillian White, I want him to get his shot at Deontay Wilder, and I want Wilder to clean his clock in 5 rounds like I know he's going to. With Eddie Hearn, I don't have too much against Eddie Hearn, but Dillian White just getting on my nerves, man. We all know Eddie Hearn, boxing promoters are like used car salesmen. But, after a while, when they try to sweep everything under the rug with the B sample, and it's like his, mandatory status in our whole, and he's gonna become the WBC mandatory. I'm just sick of boxing politics. I know we have to talk about them. Is unfortunately is the part of the sport. So I want him. And we all should be happy as Wilder fans. It'll be a big fight, American fighter versus UK fighter. Dillian White been mouthing off. I don't care if you don't produce a B sample. I want to see you in the ring with Deontay Wilder, and I can't wait. So let him have that WBC mandatory. And after Wilder gets finished with Ortiz, because I doubt Fury's going to fight next, let Wilder and handle his business with Dillian White.
You're on mute, Fanon. You're on mute.
Blood, what's your take on it?
Okay, well, I got a lot to say about this shit. Let's see here. See, the WBC, I have a problem with the WBC. I've been having a problem with the WBC. I told y'all that. The WBC has decided to elevate Loma and Canelo to a newly created superior status. They call this status the franchise champion, okay? They have also elevated Charlo and Haney to their traditional status. All 4 of these guys won new championships from the comfort of their own homes, which is fucking ridiculous. All the other WBC champs had to fight for their title, okay? as far as I know, there was another elevation, so maybe a year ago in one of them small weight classes, but this is ridiculous to create a franchise title and then elevate two other guys into their traditional spot from the comfort of their homes.
Hold on, blood. I'm sorry. I was in the midst of doing something. Did you jump straight to the franchise champion?
Well, yeah, that's what you want to talk about the WBC. If we're going to talk about the WBC, then we're going to talk about the franchise.
We get out of order. Hey, hold on. We out of order.
Okay, so what do you want to talk about? Dillian White. Let's talk about Dillian White. We'll get back to that then, since Manon wants to come in here and regulate the convo. Okay, let's get into Dillian White, because I have things to say about old Dillian White too. You know,
blood. You bust. I know you say. Pause on blood. If y'all don't go watch Blood Boxing's videos that he did this week, this dude gave a special treat. He put out 2 videos specifically addressing trolls as it related to the Dillian White and the WBC circumstance. It is one of the most. It's brief. It's intelligent. It gives you all the background you need to know about those sanctioning bodies. If y'all ain't go to his channel, Spreadsheet Boxing. The boxing spreadsheet, excuse me, blood. I'm sorry. The boxing spreadsheet, and watch those 2 videos, man. Go do it today. Go ahead, blood.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that I have that page. And then I've changed the name so it doesn't make it any easier to find me. But they'll catch on, man, as time goes on. I know they will. Look, on this side of the coin are a bunch of so-called fight fans that were favoring the sanctioning body rules, okay? On this side, now we have 2 different fight fans that was favoring the sanctioning body rules on both sides of the coins, okay? But on this particular side of the coin, you have fight fans that were actually favoring the sanctioning body rules, okay? When the sanctioning bodies were enforcing mandatories, they used these mandatories as barriers to building a Wilder versus Joshua fight. Now, all of a sudden, they have a problem with a sanctioning body, these fans out there. If you keep it consistent and realize that the sanctioning bodies have always been a problem, then you won't spend so much time looking stupid, okay? They have a problem because they felt Dillian White should be the mandatory for Deontay Wilder. The difference with White, Charlo, and Haney is that White is coming off a fight in which he tested positive for performance enhancers, and there was a glove controversy in this fight, okay? That's the difference. If you don't know that, then I don't know what the fuck to tell you, okay? He also had opportunities to fight Wilder. He could have fought Ortiz, and he could have fought Brazil. Brazil offered him the fight, okay? Wilder also told him, if you fight Ortiz, I'll fight you. White never wanted that fucking fight, okay? Also, there are guys in the UK telling lies about who fought who and who was a ranked fighter and all of that stupid shit. You know they're always miles behind when it comes to boxing discussion. They're not on our level, okay? They're miles behind, okay? We look at these guys as comedy, all right? Kurt Anderson, myself, Fanon, us older fight fans, we look at all this politics talk as comedy to us, okay? I did a vid 9 or 10 months ago in which I presented a spreadsheet. In 2 of the ranking systems, not one heavyweight had fought another, and in the other 2, only one fight had occurred in which a top 10 fighter faced another top 10 fighter. I also showed you guys how there was only one fighter in the WBC, okay? Top 15 that White had defeated, and that was Derek Chisora. He was ranked number 13 at the time. I showed it to you. I presented it to you. Don't come now talking about he beat more ranked WBC. I showed you this shit 8 months ago on a spreadsheet. Everyone had the chance to come in there and say something about what I was saying, but you know I was right. I had all the information right in front of you. I don't know how many of y'all believe that, but I'm telling you now, about 8 months ago, I presented this shit to everybody on YouTube, okay? I think that Wilder is due a franchise status, all right? Now, if they are planning on granting Wilder a franchise status, I wouldn't be surprised if Wilder already knows what the plan is on that, okay? If Wilder is aware of his soon-to-occur elevation, that I'm not in agreement of the timing, because Wilder should have been granted this status first. Not that he needs protection from White. Wilder will fight White anyways. It's just that Wilder should have they should respect him enough after representing the WBC and being the face of the WBC to grant him that status first, okay? I haven't heard a whole lot of resistance from other WBC champions. I haven't heard much coming from them, no complaints. So I'm taking it that maybe there's something going on behind the scenes where they're promising to give some of these other guys franchise status. I don't like the timing that they did it. I think it's a bunch of bullshit. They messed up the whole thing for Undisputed, because if you're elevated into a franchise spot and you have two champions in the WBC, and Suleiman was interviewed by the Boxing Voice, by Ness from the Boxing Voice, and he couldn't distinguish the difference between a franchise championship and a traditional championship, which means that he has totally disrespected what those guys put together at the table, who sat at the round table in the 1960s when they went over to Mexico and the Mexican president was involved and all of that stuff, okay? They're disrespecting this, shitting on the sanctioning body and what it was supposed to be all about, okay? So there is no more lineals and all of that stuff. And if you got a franchise belt coming into play, it's going to be very hard to understand the whole Undisputed thing when you got two champions. You already got two champions in the WBA, which is the more traditional belt, by the way, okay? The WBA stemmed from the NBA, all right? So, you know, like I said several times, a lot of these people don't know what they're talking about. I've been present on social media before social media even began. I told you that I come from AOL chat rooms, okay? Boxing One and all of that stuff. I was the creator of that, all right? So I'm letting you guys know I've always been ahead of what's going on, and they didn't start this WBC. The green belt is the prestigious belt. I didn't hear nobody say that when Riddick Bowe threw the belt in the trash can in 1994. I didn't hear nobody say that when Larry Holmes basically threw the belt in the trash can back in what was it, 83 or something, Kurt? 83 or 84. When nobody saying nothing about the green belt being the green belt, the prestigious belt. That's talk from Fight Hype. I told y'all before, if y'all want to follow Fight Hype and Ben Thompson, then y'all can't be on Blood Boxing's level in no kind of discussion. Go back, do your research, follow my page, and learn, and you will be on point, okay? And that's what I got to say.
Blood, if you wouldn't mind, well, let me do, two things before, but I got a follow-up question for Blood, but I got to do something that's very, very important. Earlier this week, we had a passing in the LDBC family. It is the father of Black Fight Fan TV, passed away this week after a battle with cancer. So we will let's give him, a moment of silent respect to Black Fight Fan TV's father and his family in this time of hardship, and we'll give him the traditional 10 count like he's like the champ that he is. Rest in peace, Mr. Black Fight Fan TV Sr. All right, let me get a couple super chats and I'm gonna hit this follow-up question, man. Thank you guys so much for your support. Lolan Prophet says, salute OGs. T Plums 101. Wilder literally just knocked off a mandatory. T Plums 101 said, people think he needs to fight 2 in a year. This is obviously in addressing this Dillian White nonsense. Stay Ready Boxing TV, man. Hey, stay ready. Did I see you? I think I saw you do an interview with Demetrius Chop Corley on the channel, man. Salute Stay Ready Boxing TV. Please go subscribe to Stay Ready Boxing TV. He said, I finally get a chance to catch OG Boxing Talk live. What's good, OGs? Blood, Kurt, KQKC, and Fernand Don. Salute, brothers. Timmy Diamond says the franchise belt is the title. The WBC awards fighters who want to avoid fighting prime black fighters. It definitely appears to there's circumstantial evidence for the truth of that. But yeah, Blood, let me ask you a question, man, before we go on. And this is for just educational purposes. What is the history, just the chronological history of the sanctioning bodies belts from the NBA to the establishment of the WBO?
Okay, well, it started out where they used to have these. The British. They were the first ones to have a sanctioning, some kind of a sanctioning body. And now I can't remember the name of it. I'm not fresh off of it, but I've done videos on it. They had these belts in the late 1800s. They were called okay, they had a set of belts. Kurt might know better than me, okay, that came around in the late 1800s. In the year of 1920, the NBA was either 1920 or 1921. The NBA was created as some kind of competition to these belts that were from England. I can't believe I can't remember the name. What are they called?
The names too of England. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Blood, but
No.
I just usually start off with the NBA and the New York Sports Athletic Commission belts, the two sanctioning bodies that came in 21 and the previous year.
Right. I know they came as competitors to whatever those championships they had in England back in the late 1800s. They did have a championship there. I just don't remember the name of it. But it really starts, like Kurt said, around 1921 with the NBA, okay? The New York State Athletic Commission, they also had a belt too back in the 1920s, right, Kurt? If I'm not mistaken, they had a belt too, right?
That's correct. They were rivals, New York Sports Athletic Commission and National Boxing Association. They were bitter rivals.
Exactly. So what ended up happening is when we got to the 1960s, the WBA was created in 1961 or 61.
62.
62. See, you should ask Kurt this one because it's not fresh on my memory, but the WBA was created in 1961 or 62. And then that stemmed from the NBA, which had been in place for several decades, okay? Then you had the WBC, which came around in maybe a year later. And the guys who started the WBC, they got with the Mexican president over there in Mexico. They sat at the round table over there. And I know that those guys originally came from the WBA. There was some disputes over money and things like that. And they were originally with the WBA and they started the WBC. And since then, the WBC and the WBA became kind of competitors. They will work together from time to time. For several years, many of those champions had both belts. Some of those champions, like Ali and a few of them guys, had both of the belts. And then at times you would have a WBC and a WBA champion, such as in the 1960s when you had Ali with one belt and Terrell with another belt. It went on to where sometimes these guys would have both belts. Sometimes they'll have sometimes guys would have the WBA. Sometimes guys would have the WBC. The WBC was never more prestigious unless it was attached to your favorite fighter. That's where that whole thing comes from. A fight fan might say something like, well, the WBA belt's the best belt because, Ali has it or whatever the case may be. In the early 80s, Larry Holmes had the WBC belt, okay? There was a split, okay? There was a split in the late 70s after the Spinks fight. Spinks was supposed to fight the winner of an elimination tournament that had occurred between Norton and Holmes. Spinks decided to take the rematch with Ali. Kurt could correct me if I'm wrong. Don't feel bad to correct me, Kurt, if I'm wrong, okay? Spinks was supposed to fight.
I'll correct you too, Blood.
What's that?
I'll correct you too, Blood.
I already know you will, but Kurt be letting me slide sometimes, okay? But so they had a split then, okay? At that time, Ali got back the belt, the WBA belt. Holmes had the WBC belt. If you're a fight fan, at that time, I still wasn't hearing nothing about. I mean, I was a little kid, but I didn't hear my father talking about which belt was more prestigious. They was just talking about these guys fighting each other and things like that. There was talk of unification bouts. You had like Donald Curry, Milton McCrory. That was a unification bout. But you got to remember too that some of these fighters gave away the WBC belt when the IBF came around, especially Larry Holmes, who was the heavyweight champion and considered by many to be the man at that time, okay? He basically threw this WBC belt in the trash and picked up the IBF, and he helped to make the IBF a popular sanctioning body along with Marvin Hagler and some other guys in the 1980s that picked up the IBF. In the late 80s, I think the year was 89, the WBO came into play. Their first fight was Thomas Hearns versus James the Heat Kinchin. That happened in 89, okay? That was a good fight, man. Shit, the Heat came out that night for Thomas Hearns, but that made another belt come into play. But listen to this: the WBO throughout the 1990s was considered a second-tier belt. Let's not forget that when Riddick Bowe threw the green belt in the trash can, he toted around the WBO belt, okay? He had that WBO belt, and he didn't lose his TV contract. He was still with HBO. They didn't give a fuck which belt. He had the WBO belt, which wasn't even yet considered a main belt. And what mattered was the fighter, the guy that was toting the belt. That's why I always say that the belt is as important as the fighter toting the belt. That's how it's always been, okay? So all this talk about which belt is more prestigious and that, all of these belts are garbage, man, because they're not the same people, except for, I don't know, the WBO, if the people who created the WBO are still in place. I do know that with the WBA and the WBC, these are not the same people, okay? So the belts have lost value over the year as more belts have come into play, okay? Like I said, you had Riddick Bowe throw a belt away. He didn't lose his status or anything. He still had his contract with HBO. He defended that WBO belt against Herbie Hyde, I believe it was, and some other guy. I can't remember, but, it's about the fighter. It's always been about the fighter, man, okay? It's always about the fighter. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Scrapbook Boxing put it up for us right here. Okay, so 1920, yeah, like Kurt said. Then you got 1921, the NBA, the WBA, 1961, 62, the WBC, 1983, the IBF, 1983, the WBO. Okay, so the WBO actually came in 1988. Okay, that's what it was, 1988. WBO, which I do believe that first championship bout was Thomas Hearns versus James the Heat Kinchin, because I did a video on it back in the day. So I appreciate that information. You guys just need to understand. Here's the whole thing. You guys need to understand about these sanctioning bodies that there are no good, prestigious sanctioning body belts. Okay, these guys are all crooks. They're all corrupt. They're all bill barriers. They're all about putting money in their pocket. This is how these guys eat. They got to feed their families. They need those sanctioning fees. I know we're going to get into a point to where we're going to talk about what should be done to make this whole thing better. That's on the outline. I don't want to get into that yet, but I'll get into that later. I appreciate it. But we'll look into it more if we need to. But there's not really much to look into. These guys are crooks. There are no prestigious belts anymore. All right. The WBA is the most traditional belt, and they decided to go out and make a super championship. So were they thinking about Undisputed when they made the super championship? I think that was in the early 2000s or something when they started this super championship shit. Okay. And then the WBC now we're joining in with this franchise belt. What's next? The IBF going to do one too? I mean, are they going to have add more confusion? These guys get paid off of sanctioning fees, man. Okay, so they don't care about this undisputed shit. that all of us are going around talking about all the time. That's why I said it don't really matter if we have undisputed. They don't give a fuck about that. So at this time, we want the best to fight the best. If they need to get rid of these motherfuckers, get rid of them. That's all I got to say. I'm gonna shorten it up. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you for the history lesson, Blood. There is a question, I missed it, by Fahim Satur, said that the WBC is young. Ali must have legitimized it. No, because the thing was with the WBC and the WBA that the same person held both of those belts in the for the heavyweight championship up until, I do believe, the mid-70s. Ali was both the WBA and the WBC champion. So from the viewpoint of a fan, you really wouldn't know the difference. It's really only in my observation, sanctioning bodies and conversations about sanctioning bodies really started being big when there got to be 4 of them. Because now that there's 4 of them, there's like when Ali was the heavyweight champion, it was clear, because he was because he was the most famous one. People were like, "Oh, Ali's the champion," but people knew at the time that Ali was old and Larry Holmes was really the biggest threat to him. And what they did was, I remember it might have been Ebony Magazine I think it was Ebony Magazine or the cover of Jet. One of them, they had an article about Larry Holmes and they called him the other champion. So and remember also there weren't as many sanctioning bodies, and also there wasn't as many networks who were purporting people to be champions. So you wouldn't really know. I think the confusion over the championship belts is related to 2 things: the number of sanctioning bodies and also the number of networks that market fighters as champions. And I think you see that exhibited in the treatment of Tyson Fury by ESPN. Tyson Fury doesn't hold any belts, but when the network markets him, the network markets him as the champion, right? So you're just going to wind up having situations where I think, and we'll get to this, later on in the conversation more in depth. You have a combination of the sanctioning bodies, and sanctioning bodies often being marketing mechanisms for the networks that advertise in the show. And you saw that with Gennady Golovkin and his WBA regular belt when Felix Sturm was the WBA super champion. But if you would have asked the person just walking around who the middleweight champion was, they would have said it was Gennady Golovkin, because that's what they hear being referenced as a champion by the network. So I think a lot of this confusion is also related to the fact that is the prevalence of networks, and the fact now that there's so many of them pushing so many fights and so many championship fights on the fans. Before I move that question to KQKC, let me go to the super chats that came in since our last break to acknowledge you guys' support. And thank you guys so much for your support and your encouragement. Come into the show by showing your support through super chats and cash apps in the show, by subscribing to the channels that we shout out, like my man Famous Athletics, who's in the building. Of course, we got 78 Sports TV in the building. We got Stay Ready Boxing in the building. We got the great Scrapbook Boxing in the building. Make sure you guys support those channels. Big Dog Willie says, "What's hood?" And Ayo be easy. Is that Ayo be easy? I said, "Good morning, OGs. The new WBC franchise tag champions are not recognized as the champ by the WBA, WBO, and the IBF. How can it be an elevation?" Well, it's going to be an elevation within their own organization. That's how they would refer to as an elevation. But we'll get onto that when we talk specifically about the franchise champion. KQKC, the WBC had issued an order or a ruling was related to Dillian White, where Dillian White now has 1 year, even if he's cleared by the WBC for having tested by UCAD for testing positive for D-ball in the lead up to his fight. against Oscar Rivas. He'll still have to wait at least till 2021 in order to have, for that fight. There's a bunch of people from the UK. I'm sure if you talked about it on your channel, you would have heard it. A lot of people who are, I wouldn't say from the UK, but people who are Dillian White supporters are saying that's not right. The WBC is protecting Deontay Wilder. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that particular matter?
Well, they're doing the right thing, because all he got was a slap on the wrist for doing PEDs, and he putting it on the other fighter life's in danger. So he should have longer than that. He better be thankful that he can still fight, but not fight for a mandatory spot. I know that, but he should thank God that he still can box. I mean, these fighters now are just brushing the PDs under the rug. I mean, they're coming out the woodwork, But what about the fighters that's doing the right thing? And they need the right shots. They're not getting it. So Dillian White, he can cry all he want to, but this is good for him. Maybe next time he'll think twice, and trying to win. Who knows how long he's been doing that? That's why I always say all these fighters that get caught with the PD, these ain't the first time. They know what they're doing. And, they always trying to look for an edge. Why don't you look for your athleticism, And, let's, and work on your fundamentals. That would get you over in a fight. That would make you win, But no, Dillian White, that's good. The WBC, now they finally trying to find some balls, because they ain't found it nowhere else. And Blood is right. I'm not going to jump into the governing bodies and everything. I'm going to answer your question. But still, the WBC finally doing something right. Because lately, they haven't been no most prestigious belt in all the governing bodies, So, I think that's a good thing. And now, he's going to be like a little kid. Sit your ass down on timeout and learn your lesson. So that's all I have.
Fahim Satur, I'm sorry, I asked for a clarification. Yeah, that was a typo from Scrapbook. The WBC was 1963, not 1983. 1983, or you either that or you read it backwards. I think 1983 is the IBF. It was in the order that it was in, and I didn't know. I think he meant New York State Athletic Commission, but it was SYNAC or Athletic Commission, but it's the Police Gazette, and then it was the New York State Athletic Commission. Then they also put in another bracket, something that I hadn't heard of that I'm going to go research, and then after that it was the NBA, which was the National Boxing Association, actually changed its name they changed their name because of the establishment of the National Basketball Association. They didn't want those two things confused. So then they formed the they changed their name from NBA to WBA. The WBA and the WBC broke off from the WBA ostensibly because of this is the argument that was made, that they felt like there was too much control being given to American fighters, and they wanted to ensure the international delegation portion of that, who were voting on rankings and all that, wanted more influence and more credit to be given to fighters outside of the United States. And that's when the WBC broke off, and that's why you see the WBC is I do believe it was even established in Mexico. It was established in Mexico.
Yes. It was. Yes, you're correct. It was established in Mexico, and the Mexican president was at that round table.
Right. So yeah, that's why they broke off, because of the issue about the international nature of boxing.
And money for now.
And I mean, money. I think money underrides all of that.
Something to cover it up. But I did extensive research on it, and there was some problems with money distribution too. Right.
So the WBC, and I'll let Blood go into that. That's just my,
No. What is that?
Cursory.
Now, he's using his phone. I know that Scrapbook Boxing uses his phone, and man, it's hard to. You can't type the shit right when you use.
Everybody does that shit. Everybody does that. That's some shit you just got. Whenever you're reading on YouTube, you got to correct for spelling errors. It's just hard to do when you're, typing like this. But I mean, Scrapbook explains, if you want to know the real deal on it, go listen to the video that was made by Scrapbook Boxing when Scrapbook Boxing was talking about, it's the name of the fighter that he was talking about. I think he was doing a video on some early 19th century heavyweights. I believe that it was a guy whose name I'm always forgetting, who he said was his number one pound for pound fighter. It was him. It was
Sam Langford.
Who?
Sam Langford.
Yeah, it was on Sam Langford. It was on the other cat and Jack Dempsey. And he talked about them. He also talked about how Jack Dempsey was allowed to duck Sam Langford or this other Harry Wells. He was able to duck Harry Wells because Harry Wells fought somebody else. But anyway, within that conversation, Scrapbook lays that shit down in a way that is just crystal clear. So trust me, all that was with Scrapbook was just it's a typo error. If you go listen to his videos, you can learn a lot about this in Scrapbook Boxing. I'm not saying anything that this man has not said multiple times with much more clarity in his videos. And I appreciate you sharing that information, Scrapbook. But see, the IBF did not break off from anything. The IBF established itself on its own, and the WBO established itself on its own. The only two of the sanctioning bodies that were actually ever part of one another were the WBC and the WBC and the WBA. Just for clarification.
Actually, some of the guys who started the IBF did work.
Hold on. The fuck are you talking about, Charlie? Get the fuck out of here, man. Somebody throw this dude out of here, man. I'm not in the mood for you. Cat, what are you talking about? It started a love. WBC goes way back. It goes back to 1963, you moron. That is way back. Ain't nobody making this shit up. Go Google and learn something, man. You think somebody's gonna make up when the WBC was founded for no good reason? The WBC it was part of the WBA. The WBA was the NBA. Nobody asking you this stuff. The WBA goes back exactly, Cruz, and it's the same organization. The WBC came from the WBA. Go learn something, man. Let's get out of here, man. Sorry, Blood. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, they're in the wrong room for this. They're in the wrong page, okay? They need to go and do some research. But one thing I did learn, though, is that when the IBF started out, that some of those guys, they had experience in dealing with sanctioning bodies because they were employees for the WBC, man. The guys who, when they started the IBF, they got their experience in sanctioning bodies by working for the WBA and the WBC. They didn't just come out and say, a group of guys say, hey, let's start a new sanctioning body and had no experience. They were former employees of the WBC. You know what? I'm going to redo that belt on the history. The video on the history of the alphabet belts because I had it all lined up. But they wanted me to take the video down. I did the video in 2011, and Floyd Mayweather fans got mad at me. I had the whole thing lined up, and I need to revisit it myself. So I will.
It's all good, man. Hey, man, please look, man. This is OG Boxing Talk for a reason. We are grown. We are grown men. Yeah, well, I'll joke and with people every once in a while, man. But seriously, we ain't got no time for children. Okay. There's plenty of little kids. There's plenty of little kids, boxing YouTube channels you can go to where you can say, you can talk about whatever you want on. But on Sunday morning, dog, we really and truly are talking to grown men. Okay, right here on this panel, dude. There's at least 160 years of worth of boxing fanness. Right here on the people just on this panel, okay? There's nobody on this channel that nobody sitting here has been a fan of boxing less than 40 years. Less than 40 years. So if you just started getting into boxing because you like Floyd Mayweather Jr., or you just got into boxing because you liked Anthony Joshua, or you like Deontay Wilder, or you like Errol Spence Jr., dude, shut up, okay? And let grown people talk. All right, we having a discussion about how the sanctioning bodies were established, and it's not because people just are going to make some shit up. Okay, I remember when there was no IBF. I remember I was a boxing fan longer than there has been an IBF, longer than there's been a WBO. We remember the first time we heard WBO and IBF. And we also, that's why people don't fall into Anthony Joshua had 4 belts. Okay? Because we're like, what the fuck? What's an IBO? Oh, we're doing it again. Oh, another one. Oh, an IBO. Okay? There's nothing new under the sun. The games these people are playing to you have been played before. When blood boxing said that that Vasily Lomachenko was a new Vinny Pazienza, he's only half joking. Lomachenko might be a better fighter than Vinny Pazienza, but the prototype, he is that prototype. He's that we're going to get this guy and tell everybody this guy is the best fighter since sliced bread, and you're not going to realize that's what's going on until he loses. But with Lomachenko, he already lost, and they still are erasing this guy's loss. There's a marketing aspect to boxing that if you really do love the sport, you can see. Okay, it's like ESPN boxing to me, in my opinion, is like a Lexus. Okay, it's a shiny looking machine with the engine of a Toyota. Okay, I'm not paying for that shit because it's a Toyota with a nice body. Because I've driven a Toyota before, and I remember when Lexus came online. Anyway, and that's, by the way, Charlie, that's not Godoff. Oh, Charlie Zinoff, you're a troll. I just caught that. You're a troll. Charlie Zinoff, Charlie, whatever, man. Yeah, he was half joking, but I think Blood might have been a little bit serious about that. Let's switch on to the other main issue, though, and I'm going to get this to Blood first because Trap House Box said, hell no, Lomachenko is not better than Vinny Pazienza. Why you ducking the fade, Trap? Why you ducking the fade, Trap? You're supposed to be on the panel, Trap.
I have to tell you, man, I forgot. I'm sorry, Trap. Trap wanted to come on this morning, man. He was ready. He was ready to go.
Oh, you want a link?
There you go. There you go, Trap House. I'll send him the link.
He was ducking the fade.
Send him the link.
I thought he was ducking the fade. I can't remember what we were supposed to argue about. But you know I'm going to talk some ish. They said, you ain't been waiting, Trap. You ain't been waiting, Trap. Hold on, man. Let me give Trap this link, man. Y'all going to get to know the great Trap House Boxing, homie. Trap.
If you don't got it, I'll send it to him. Yeah, he does. He believes Vinny Pazienza would have beat the shit out of Lomachenko, too.
There you go. You got it, dog. Trap, you got it. I'm not arguing with you, Trap. I prepare for debates. So you're just with open arms on the chat. But let's switch on to this conversation while we want Trap don't want no smoke.
Hey, but we had prediction last night, which I'm gonna talk about.
Say it again.
Me and Trap House was right with that prediction last night on the Taylor Prograis fight.
So was I.
Nah. You said Prograis winning, bro.
No, I did not.
I had Prograis winning, man.
No, I did not.
You kicked Taylor?
I said my videos, which I did at least 2 a week for the last 3 weeks, I said I thought it was a 50-50 fight. I'm going 51 towards Taylor because it's in the UK. I think it's going to be a close fight, but the decision is going to go to Josh Taylor.
Okay. You're the man.
Yeah. Nah. Don't be trying to get me, dog. I was wrong about what fight was I wrong about? I was wrong about something the other day. I picked somebody wrong. Oh, I was wrong about Beterbiev. I was wrong about Beterbiev Wojcik. That's what I screwed up. Beterbiev Wojcik.
Yeah, I messed up on that one too.
Yeah. But don't be trying to catch me on no. Ain't no way in the world that I'm going to be picking Regis Prograis to beat Josh Taylor in London. Do I look like a moron? That ain't how boxing works, dog. He needed a knockout to win.
A lot of people picked Prograis. Most of the people who came to my page was like, man, you crazy. Prograis gonna win this fight.
Nah. Taylor's a fighter. Let's get into that when we get into that. But let me pass this to you, Blood, while we wait for Trap who's ducking the smoke. What's your thoughts about this? Let's talk about this franchise champion stuff, man. Let's talk about this franchise championship. So you guys should know this is what a franchise champion is. A franchise champion is somebody that is elevated from the WBA champion to a new designation called franchise champion. The franchise champion does not have to fight mandatories. He does not have to fight at the weight class. When the champion, if he retires, he becomes champion emeritus. Champion emeritus is a retired WBC champion who can come back and fight for the belt at any time. So the perk for being a franchise champion is that if you retire, you become champion emeritus, which means you can come back and fight for that title at any time. But you do not have mandatory. You also, nobody can, if somebody beats the franchise champion, the guy that beats the franchise champion becomes the interim, I believe the interim champion, which means he becomes the mandatory for the regular champion. So say that Lomachenko has enough heart to fight Orlando Salido comes out and whoops Lomachenko again for the second time. He then becomes the mandatory for Devin Haney. So that is what a franchise champion is. It's been done twice this year. One for Canelo Alvarez, which took away his responsibility. That's what's up, Trap. Come on, Trap. Come on, man. I want to pub your channel, dog. People need to be subscribing to Trap. Trap does his shit, does his thing. So basically, that's what it is. They don't have to fight mandatory. Canelo didn't have to fight Charlo. Lomachenko doesn't have to fight Haney. That is what the franchise championship is in a nutshell. Okay. So, Blood, give me your 2 cents. Actually, let me go to KQKC, Blood. I'm sorry. Let me KQKC, because Blood, I know Blood's going in, and I ain't stepping in the way of Blood going in. What's your thoughts on the franchise champion? Are you ready, KQKC?
Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on that franchise champion situation?
Well, basically, bullshit. Pretty much is a legal ducking to me. It's official legal ducking, because let's say you're a young Olympic star coming up in the ranks. You're doing everything the boxing council wants you to do. Now you working your way up the ranks all the way to mandatory. So you want to be champ. Oh, mom, dad, I'm gonna be champ. Yeah, right. But he got to choose you to be champ. If he don't choose you, then you can't be champ. That's how it go. He got to choose you. And he's not going to choose nobody that he probably most likely will get his ass kicked. So basically, it's just a official way to duck somebody. That's all. And the WBC, they should be ashamed of their goddamn self. And they know they are. Because every time someone asks him about it, Mr. Suleiman get an attitude. Of course, because you messed it up. But the IBF said this, and I quote, and motherfucking quote, that they are messing up boxing. They putting boxing in a dark place. No, the franchise bill is a waste of time. It's getting fighters like Canelo Alvarez. He's run up and down the rankings like Carl Lewis, because he never fought really at his weight. It's always at a catch weight. He's always going up. And now he's talking about, I'm not going down. All right, okay. But one day he might meet that cherry pick. He might meet that cherry pick that might just lay his ass out. You can't erase Floyd Mayweather whooping his ass. You can't erase Salido whooping Lomachenko ass. Y'all can't erase that. You want to erase it, good, but we still remember, So therefore, what they are doing is dodging. So why not? Go ahead, fight Charlo. Charlo said he'd go over there for a one-day contract, one-fight contract. So go ahead, fight some killers. You know what? Now the franchise belt. Now, if you turn it around and say, okay, look, you got to fight some killers. You got to fight your mandatories. You got to do this. You have to fight this. You got to do this in order to hold on to this belt. But no, they pretty much saying you are exempt. All right? So you always will be that person. So that's how I feel about it. That's all I have for now.
Curtis Anderson. Kurt Sugar.
Yes, sir. I'll tell you what, the being a label or being not label, but you're a franchise champion is about protection and privilege. Because Lomachenko and Canelo is the two I have in my top 5. I got Lomachenko at number 2 and Canelo at number 3. Two of the top fighters in the world, and they're being protected and privileged by being called franchise champion. It's like some kind of trophy or some kind of, you're getting some kind of medal or something. It's a label. It's just weird to me how this came about. How Canelo started, him being franchise champion at middleweight and, not fighting Charlo, where the WBC could have very easily said, you'll fight your mandatory, and then it happens again on Lomachenko. Well, I have a question. How come they didn't franchise Gary Russell Jr. or Deontay Wilder or Errol Spence Jr.? They're WBC champions as well. So it seems to me that, is a personal thing. To me, race has a lot to do with it. You want to keep these guys in the limelight, Lomachenko and Canelo, and you want to do away with black fighters who are WBC champions. That's by design. It's not a coincidence. It's by design. Wilder could have been franchise champion, but you see, they didn't make him their franchise champion, and he's a heavyweight, the most high profile division in boxing. And I like Canelo, and I'm a fan of Lomachenko, man. But this franchise thing, man. And this goes back what I said earlier. They can do whatever they want to do. It's up to the fans to complain and moan and groan about what's going on in boxing. So to me, they'll pick certain fighters. They'll be like, nah, not him, not this one, that one, which happens to be Lomachenko. And I don't know if he ever going to fight Devin Haney, because Devin Haney is not going to be in that division for long. He's still growing, but, let's just see the fight. I have more respect for Lomachenko if he get in the ring with Haney. Even if he loses, I still have respect. And it's not a foregone conclusion that Haney could beat Lomachenko. They still have to fight. That's only on paper. In the ring is a totally different story. And that goes the same for Charlo and Canelo. I don't know if Charlo can beat Canelo, but we just want to see these guys fight. Stop protecting these guys, man, and get your act together. Franchise. What's a franchise? When I think of franchise, I think of McDonald's or somebody like that, something like that. But it's just another black eye for the sport of boxing, man.
Blood boxing. What's your thoughts on the matter, man?
Okay, man. Listen, man. The franchise.
Blood. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, man. Let me do something before it gets too far, man. Okay. Much love in the super chats, and my apologies, man. I meant to do this for like the last 2 breaks. Jay Cooley said basically the IBF is the only real belt, I guess. D-Style Boxing, much love in that super chat. D-Style said franchise chip will become transferable in the future. Man, that'd be crazy. Ivan Garcia, man, you've been holding it down over the last couple of days, man. We definitely appreciate all you guys' support, man. Thank you so much, Ivan Garcia. He said, much respect and love for you guys and the LDBC. Big Dog Willie said, who gets up this early in the morning to troll? Dog, it's late, it's 7 hours ahead in the UK. These cats is trolling in prime time, dog, on their way while they working at the fish and chip shop. Kel C said, huge shout out and much appreciation to Blood, Kurt, Scrapbook, KQKC, and Fanon for providing us with the boxing history and the facts of our favorite sport. Yes, sir. And also, please throw in Scrapbook Boxing over there, man, because that is just a treasure trove of boxing history over on that channel. You guys must subscribe. I'm sorry for cutting you off, Blood. I just want to make sure I got that I took care of the people that support and encourage the channel like they do. Go ahead, Blood.
Listen, man, I'm going to tell you guys exactly what the franchise championship is all about. After studying these sanctioning bodies for well over a decade, the franchise championship is basically a protection plan developed by the WBC to protect future investments. Okay, let me say this again. The franchise champion is a protection plan developed by the WBC to protect future investments by the use of false legacy claims and false imagery, like we have seen when people buy subscribers on YouTube. You know, false imagery. That works. That works very well, okay? They plan to take their franchise fighters to the top. That's right, by the use of false imagery and false legacy claims, false records. You guys hear these new records that they're making up every other day. Canelo Alvarez has done what Armstrong has done and all of that kind of stuff, okay? So them keeping Canelo Alvarez in a franchise championship makes him equal to what Armstrong did in 38 and things like that. You know, that falls for new age fight fans, okay? They will make their way to the top by walking down a cherry-filled path to success. You all know about that cherry-filled path to success. It's called low risk, high reward, okay? Who said that first, okay?
Did Floyd Mayweather
Boxing say it first? Did blood boxing say low risk, high reward first? No, blood boxing didn't say that, but I'm the hater though, right? The WBC president Suleiman doesn't even know what this championship is, as he was interviewed by Nestor Gibbs, his name is, of the Boxing Voice. He couldn't even give Nestor a straight answer. In fact, he cut Nestor off, all right? They have never been questioned on their decision-making, but this is a new era. They don't want what happened to Vinny Pazienza when he fought Roger Mayweather, okay? Let's take Vinny Pazienza. They don't want what happened to Vinny Pazienza, their hyped-up fighter, okay? We've seen him over the years, okay? Maybe Fanon likes to mention this certain fighter all the time, Baby Joe Macy. Maybe if Baby Joe Macy could have came in and become a franchise champion after a few fights, they could have protected their investment a little better. Okay, so they don't want that to happen to them, what happened to Pazienza when he fought Mayweather. They are also very racist over at the WBC, okay? That's right. I know they're Mexican, but they're very racist over there, okay? The biggest money makers have always been the black fighters for them. They struck gold one time with Manny Pacquiao. This is during the social media era. I'm not talking about the time when they were cheating for Julio Cesar Chavez and Jose Luis Ramirez and some of these other fighters they had from the past. But they struck gold with Pacquiao, the sanctioning bodies, okay? Because all of these sanctioning bodies profited off of Mayweather, Pacquiao, and all of these type of guys, okay? That's why there is no superior belt. All of them profited, okay? That's because they know that the fight fans don't really know. They're not in tune with what's going on. They think that the fans are still naive. They're relying on the ignorance of fight fans, okay? So they're creating this franchise championship. You see how uncomfortable Suleiman looked when Nestor started asking them questions? Okay, he wanted to get out of Dodge. He's not used to being questioned, and that's why we need to question them more. I keep telling you guys, get your face out of these celebrity fighters' asses, okay? These guys don't even want to fight hardly, okay? I understand that boxing is a dangerous sport, but only the best should be treated like that. Not some fucking, I mean, there's two guys right now boxing. Somewhere right now, there's two guys not getting paid, and they're boxing right now, busting each other's face out right now, okay? So why should I give these celebrity title holders any more credit than I give them? I said that one day I was walking home from, I was walking over to the mailbox, okay? And I saw these kids on the trampoline, and they were boxing and stuff. And I was thinking, man, these are some young kids with these boxing gloves on. They should invest in becoming a celebrity title holder, because it doesn't take much at this stage, okay? To me, I have just as much respect for them guys. In fact, they're boxing more than these celebrity fighters. These celebrity fighters don't mean all that to me, man. Okay, you can sit up here and say you're a 3- and 4-time champion. Adrian Broner's a 4-time champion. What is he doing now? He's sitting his fat ass in front of the in the second row watching fights from his couch and shit like that, like the rest of us, okay? I have been critical on the belts for 12 to 13 years on social media, okay? I take the same stance that Teddy Atlas takes, okay? Get rid of all the belts, okay? Which we will get into. I know that that's on the agenda for now, so I won't get into that. But
your mind, I'm done fucking with you today. Go ahead. What you want to do?
Go ahead with it. Okay, get rid of all the belts. This won't be easy. Okay, I would support the PBC making their own belt. They may as well, because the WBC, they've made their own belt. The franchise, the WBA has made the Super. That's not traditional. Neither one of those are traditional. The IBF are the only ones that are not adding all this extra shit on. But they're not going to get any credit because their president is Daryl Peoples, and they don't want to give Daryl Peoples any credit on nothing. They want to leave his ass out in the cold on everything because, you know, these Mexicans and stuff, they get together, they deceive fans, they think that fans are ignorant, they think they shouldn't be questioned. Daryl Peoples has actually even got on to, I think he interviewed with 78 Sports TV some years ago. Nothing to hide, okay? So they right now are running the best outfit as far as I'm concerned. Okay, they're more willing to strip these fighters. There has been times where we put pressure on Daryl Peoples to make sure that these unification bouts happen. He did that. He did that with that Lipinets thing. He pulled out of that whole thing just to make us happy. But nobody gives Daryl Peoples enough credit for it because I'm not seeing the IBF coming up with all these extra belts. So right now, the most prestigious belt for me is the IBF. Well, really, I'm gonna be honest. None of them are the most prestigious. But if there's one that's more credible, it's the IBF right now, not the green belt. Get the fuck out of here with all that fight hype Ben Thompson talk. All right, you might as well go and join his website and be a Floyd Mayweather Ben Thompson lover. Okay. Like I said, I would support the BBC if they make their own belt. I would also support Dana White if he has a plan that can weed out the sanctioning bodies. People didn't want to hear that, but when you've been disappointed at decision-making coming from the sanctioning bodies for the past 15 to 20 years, and each year it's gotten worse, you would be able to feel a longtime fight fan's pain regarding the inconsistency displayed by the sanctioning bodies. As far as the franchise belt, I do believe that some of the WBC champions may have already perhaps been told what the future holds for them regarding the WBC franchise status, because I have not heard any complaining coming from the existing champions. Therefore, I have decided that I will no longer make a big deal of this unless I hear some resistance coming from the remaining WBC champions that had to fight for their belts, such as Gary Russell Jr., such as Deontay Wilder. I'm not going to sit up here and keep talking for these guys if they don't say nothing, okay? These sanctioning bodies, they're up to no good. If they do have plans in place to give those guys franchise belts, they should have gave them belts first. Why? Because the color of their skin, because they're black. It's been proven time and time again that the black fighters are the ones who sell. Who's the biggest seller of all time? It's Floyd Mayweather. Who was the biggest seller before that? Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, okay? You got lucky a couple of times, okay? You got lucky with Manny Pacquiao. The sanctioning bodies got lucky with Julio Cesar Chavez, even though they ripped Pernell Whitaker off and they carefully matched Chavez up, all right? He's a great fighter. I don't want to take nothing from him, but they ripped it. He should have had that fight with Whitaker in 1988, okay? Not in the early 90s. It should have happened in 88, okay? Because they ripped off Whitaker on that Jose Luis Ramirez, and they've done several more other shit too. They benefited off of Roberto Duran. They benefited off of even the smaller name fighters. Michael Nunn was on his way to becoming a franchise type of guy, okay? They benefited off of Iran the Blade Barkley, all right? They benefited off all these guys, man. All right? So these guys just need to realize that there's now social media in place. We know what's going on. We onto your shit. Treat everybody fairly. There's no reason why you should be granting franchise belts to Lomachenko, who has, 15 fights or whatever. If you want to count the World Super Series and say 20, that's fine. I heard Fanon say that. But he still is unproven as a franchise entity. And you also have Canelo Alvarez. Okay, I could understand Canelo more, but there's a whole bunch of unfinished business. And this unfinished business is with black fighters that they don't want to market. And the reason they don't want to market is because they believe that what's going to happen is what happened with Floyd Mayweather. The black fighters are going to be more likely to go off and do their own thing, okay? Which is surprising to me, but I think that they're just afraid to give a black fighter that much power. That's why they always try to put us off in the back. The way they're treating Deontay Wilder, who is the WBC. Deontay Wilder is the face of the WBC, okay? It's been proven. You go to ESPN's list, you see he's the most popular fighter out there. He's been the face of the WBC since 2015. We were looking for that. We were looking for a replacement for Klitschko in that boring era. Bermain Stavern was not the guy. We got Wilder. We built him up. They think that what we did, all this hard work that we put in, okay? They're trying to damper all that hard work. We didn't put a wrench in what we did too by giving some guy who don't even have a fucking fan base a franchise status because they want to market him to naive fight fans, okay? Once again, and I'm going to close this out. I'm going to give you a definition for franchise champion, okay? The franchise championship is a protection plan developed by the WBC to protect future investments. I'm done.
Drop the mic on that, Blood. Without a doubt, man. Let me get to these super chats, man, and let people suck that, just sit on that for a second, because Blood, that was what made me a fan of blood boxing about a decade ago. Bo, let me go back. Bo one said, I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt, but it's a pass to buck, plain. It's a pass to buck, plain and simple. African sci-fi scholar, what's good, man? I ain't seen you in a minute. Man, I ain't seen Who's Two Is This Mine in a minute either. Hope I didn't piss y'all off about too much about what's the name? Clarissa Shields. The African sci-fi scholar says, salute OG. Hit the like button, fam. LDBC and DMV. That's what's up. General Squirrel said this MF pissing blood off. Michelle Bouchard, what's going on, Michelle Bouchard? Support LDBC. Introducing 513 says salute. Speak the truth. I want to go back to a comment that was put in the comment section that I thought was an excellent comment. And it talks about, where did it go? Because here you go. I'll put it up on the screen. Farouk Abdul Ahak, excuse me for mispronouncing. Farouk said, golf changes the courses. Tiger Woods, football changed the rules so you can't touch the quarterback to prolong the white quarterback. Now boxing, they always attack systematically. Look, man, that is without a doubt the truth, man. And in boxing, it's just a lie, man. Like to tell you, the people that Blood are talking about who are the biggest money earners in boxing literally goes back to the late 1700s. From the time that Tom Cribb fought Tom Mellowa to after the United States kicked off with boxing and it was Jack Johnson then they for a period of time, just so you know, prevented black fighters from fighting for titles at all. And that's the subject that I'm going to bring up when Blood and I and Kurt and KQ talk about what to do with it with the sanctioning bodies and why I have a slight bit of a difference of opinion about this, about the role of the sanctioning bodies and how to solve that problem. But then it went to Joe Louis, of the big money earners in boxing. Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Those are the guys that became the just larger than life money earners. And the reason why I say, what's going on, Trap House Boxing in the building? The reason why I say didn't put guys like what's his name? Julio Cesar Chavez in there. I didn't put Oscar De La Hoya in there. I didn't put Manny Pacquiao in there because I'm talking about the guys that are actually the transcendent stars in boxing that make the money for everybody in the sport of boxing. If I recall correctly, Julio Cesar Chavez came up on undercards for Don King undercards for Mike Tyson. So those are the guys that have always been the transcendent money earners in boxing. But where you have something that I noticed is that, there's a difference between there's how much money is made in the fight and there's how much money the promoter keeps. Bob Arum and these guys, the shift from please note the subtle shift from Mexican fighters to Eastern European fighters after Oscar De La Hoya. Because Oscar De La Hoya and Mexican fighters started asking for big chunks of money. Now, what you have with the guys that they're trying to prop up now are guys like Vasily Lomachenko, guys like Gennady Golovkin, and people that they're trying to prop up like that. Those guys aren't making the money that Evander Holyfield was making in the early 2000s. People will come out and talk about how much money and Anthony Joshua was making in fights without ever thinking that Anthony Joshua was making less money than Lennox Lewis made in the early 2000s fighting Mike Tyson, fighting Evander Holyfield. You listen to Evander Holyfield talk about how much money he was making, money he was making. He was guaranteed $35 million a fight back 20 years ago. These guys are talking about big money in boxing, but they're not paying. They're earning more money, but they're not paying the fighters more money. We're now bragging about fighters that are making $10 million in a fight. Oscar De La Hoya was making considerably more money than Errol Spence is making, considerably more money than Terrence Crawford's making. Oscar De La Hoya was making more money than Anthony Joshua was making. And the pay-per-view numbers were bigger than too. So I think one of the big pushes behind, I think, because I didn't make my comments on either two of these issues. Then we're going to bring Trap House and let him talk about both at the same time. My take on the franchise champion is that's payola. It reeks of payola because the two people that they put in there, Canelo Alvarez and Vasily Lomachenko, only fought one time for that belt and expressed their intention to drop that belt. Bob Arum said before this franchise thing was given that Lomachenko wasn't going to fight Devin Haney. So if he's not going to fight Devin Haney, that was going to push the WBC into a position of having to strip him. And they don't have the same heart that the IBF has. Because like people were saying that the IBF is the most reputable belt right now. That's because they were willing to strip Canelo. When Canelo was franchised by the WBC at the same time that the IBF, pretty much within a short amount of time, he was then stripped by the IBF. Because the IBF was like, no, you're not going to be jumping up in weight classes and holding on to our belt. Like they did they did a precursor to this with Mikey Garcia. When they moved Mikey Garcia to the championship emeritus in the WBC lightweight division, when he moved up and fought at 140 pounds and he was going to go fight Errol Spence, Mikey Garcia only fought one. He held his WBC lightweight belt for 2 years and only defended it one time. And it got to the point where I was making videos like, when are you got to strip this dude? So what the IBF with this franchise belt does is it bypasses the WB stripping them, and it allows them to earn the money on it. And as far as Dillian White, that's the other one. Dillian White, any of you guys defending Dillian White? I know that I know. That's what you call, that's like a trick bag. I know what you about when you defend him. You are an Eddie Hearn troll. You guys are still out there. Somebody shout out to my man Cali Enigma who put out this tweet, who put out an Instagram post, a collage. Somebody did a collage of Instagram posts, and it was four prominent boxing influencers who all had the same tweet out about DAZN. Not the same subject matter, literally the exact same words on four people's channels. You guys are, and Blood called you guys out, and I'm calling you out too because it irritates me. Dog, you're not picking up 8 and 10,000 fucking subscribers in boxing a month unless you're buying that shit. Okay? That's what you're doing. If you see anybody that picked up 8,000 subscribers in a month, you bought those subscribers. If you see people doing on some ridiculous ass subject doing 18, 20,000 views on those, you're buying your views. Do not be tricked by blatant ploys. They think that you are stupid as a boxing fan and that they can move your interest in a way that will eventually get these guys over to support certain fighters. I don't care who you there. If you know boxing, And there's nobody on this panel that does not do boxing videos on a regular basis, talk about boxing subject, have not had channels, who do not have channels for years. When you see somebody growing exponentially, they are more than likely buying subs and they are more than likely buying views. That shit is completely dishonest. It is, and it skews and it makes you feel as if you need to support, like you're like following lemons. We know the lemmings, the little, if one lemming, a little bird runs off the cliff, everybody runs behind them. That's what they're trying to do with this nonsense. The people that are defending Dillian White, that's what you are. The channels that did it, that's what you're doing. And we're going to let people know that that's exactly what you're about. Because how in the world can you defend a guy that got tested positive for D-ball and then lying about how long he was a mandatory? Now, I know we are all big boxing fans, but we all know the difference between 600 days and 30 days. Deontay Wilder's last fight was against his mandatory challenger, Dominic Breazeale. We know that was his mandatory. If he fights Dominic Breazeale as a mandatory challenger in his last fight, when was that fight? Was that in March? I think it was in March. Somebody let me know the month. I think that was in March. If Deontay Wilder fought his mandatory in March, is there 600 days between when Dillian White fought Rivas in March? Is there in May? Thank you. Is there 600 days in between May and June? No. Dillian White was the number one contender. That is not the same thing. Oh, May. Thank you very much. He paid in between March and May. No, there's not. Deontay Wilder satisfied his mandatory this year. You guys keep lying over and over and over again about how he didn't do it. And you want to actually push these guys into have him fighting somebody that still has not had their B sample tested, because Deontay Wilder is getting protected from Dillian White. And if the WBC was protecting him from Dillian White, good. We should all be protected by guys that get in the rings with illegal gloves and get into the ring under the influence of performance-enhancing drugs without letting the other fighter know. Everybody should be protected from that, because that should be illegal. And like KQKC said, that guy should be lucky that he ever fights again, because the WBC, they screwing the pooch on this franchise thing. They looking desperate. The WBC looks desperate. They look wildly inconsistent. They're stealing chances for greatness from the boxers. Jamal Charlo is the WBC champ. He's the WBC champion. Devin Haney's the WBC champion. Neither one of them got the opportunity to celebrate that in the ring. Neither one of them got a chance to get their hands raised, to go run, jump up on a rope, scream to the crowd. All of that was stolen from them because Bob Arum probably kicked you a couple bucks, or directly or indirectly, probably having a couple of his fighters fight on WBC sanctioned cards. So we'll pay some fees for this guy. We'll pay some fees for that guy. But I'm telling you right now, Mauricio, we're not fighting Devin Haney. We want that franchise title. Well, okay, I guess we'll take the franchise title. It's absolutely ridiculous. The fact that Bob Arum is pushing Eastern European fighters, I believe, just as much for Trap dropped off. Damn, my bad. Just as much for the fact that he's not paying these guys anything as it is for the fact that, he doesn't believe he can sell to black markets. Anyway, man, that's my take, man. I want to Trap. Trap, please come back in, man. That's my bad, man. I definitely.
He probably lost service. He lives out in Sanford, man. I mean, come on, man. They don't got they don't got nothing in Sanford. So
okay, so he dropped off. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Anyway, so that's my 2 cents on that, man. We'll wait for Trap to come back, and we'll toss that to him. Let me get to some of these super chats real quick, because I see, man, much love, man. Thank you guys so much for your support. And please subscribe to Trap House Boxing. I saw my man, Top Cats, legendary Top Cats in the building. you know, to Legendary Top Cat, man. That's one of my favorite morning shows. Please subscribe to him. Let me see, man. Introducing 5 on these says salute, speak the truth. Corey Yellowman Jackson said morning family. They had them damn fights on late last night, like we're a pay-per-view event or something. Drew Titan said, peace family, Bronx on deck. We all need to address these clowns who are trying to use the WBC situation. Say Dillian White was really mistreated. The UK clowns are still showing their face. Yeah, man, I just talked about that. We talked about that a little earlier in the show. It's ridiculous. I mean, I don't even think those guys are real fans. I don't want to. I mean, honestly, man, sometimes I feel like I'm doing a disservice to UK boxing fans by referring to these guys as UK boxing fans because they're just morons who just happen to be from the UK. We've got the same type of people out here in the United States that will say ridiculous shit like Andre Ward needs to be Andre Ward Kovalev 2 needs to be changed to a no decision. You know, people that just can't lose with grace. And they've been losing a lot, man. So, you know, anyway, man, there's no defense of that. Ryan Clark, straight fact, says salute Fanon, the Don, the OGs, and the LDBC. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Multiple sarcasm says 700 days, no B sample. You're not going to see a B sample. If you ain't got a B sample by now, man, you ain't, you know, it's like that old, what's that old song? If you don't love me by now, you will never. Oh, if you don't know me by now, you never. You
don't know me by now.
Yep, you will never know that B sample ain't coming out, man. Let's change a little bit to get pushed down the agenda a little bit more and talk about some of these fights. I'm gonna follow Blood's lead when we talk about this next fight. Make sure did I get everybody on the panel about those subjects? Did I get everybody?
I believe you did.
Well, what subjects?
On the Dillian White WBC rulings.
Okay, yeah.
Dillian White and the franchise champion.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we did. Oh, one more super chat just came in, man. Much love in that super chat from my man. Let me wait it up. Harris 4, man. Just supported, man. I appreciate that, man. Much love for that support, man. That's big time support. Thank you, sir. All right, so the next subject we're going to talk about is fights. Let me know which one of these fights you want to talk about first. You want to talk about the Showtime card first, the ESPN card first, or the DAZN card first?
Hey, man, I don't care.
I was gonna let the chat. I was biting off your style, man. Let the chat let us know which ones y'all want.
Know about the chat, please.
All right, y'all too slow on the draw, man. Let's start with the African Sci-Fi Scout said, I've always been around for 9, will always support the OGs and the brothers stomp down LWC. Yes, sir. All right, man. So let's start with we've talked about it a little bit before the show actually came on. Let's talk about Stevenson at the 100, who is now, I think, the 126 WBO champion. Stevenson, yep, Top Rank is the first one that came up. We'll talk. Juniper B hit first. Oh, no, damn, Real Talk did. Let's talk about that. I think the Prograis fight's probably best to save for last. What's your thoughts on the Top Rank card on Shakur Stevenson? Let's start this with KQKC Boxing.
Okay. I think Shakur pretty much took him to school. He did everything correctly. He took his time. He kept his eyes on him, you know, and he used his angles. You know, he worked his right jab. He's a southpaw, so he worked his right jab. Then he went down to the sternum, to the stomach. Then he went up, down, up. Then he spent out. Now, Gonzalez was cutting off the ring, but he wasn't cutting off the ring enough for Shakur to get trapped. He always had a way out, and he had spin out, and Gonzalez looked like he was just running in there, you know. No offense, but he reminded me of Sean Porter, you know, all that rushing, you know, and he wasn't hitting nothing but air. Shakur fought a very good fundamental fight, and he seems like he's growing up now. Now, I know some personal issues was there, you know, with his girlfriend, and that's her brother, you know, but, you know, they grown. and hey, and she's grown. So, let dad and brother stay out of it. But he gave him a good whooping, and and I'm proud of him. He's growing up. He's growing into that manhood. So I think he boxed beautiful last night. I don't have no problem with what he did last night. So he didn't lose he wasn't fatigued. He took his time and won round by round. So that's how I feel about it. I mean, it wasn't nothing really to complain about. Just that Gonzalez just was taking his time and just trying to do what he can to rush in and grab him. But Shakir was a little bit too slick, and he was missing and going into the ropes while Shakir was spreading out. So that was a good fight, and that's all I got. I don't have no problems.
That's what's up, man. It was man. I like that fight. Let me get but we got a special request for you, KQKC. Lolan Prophets said, I want KQ to sing my super chat. Subscribe to the OA, man. Definitely subscribe to KQKC Boxing, by the way. And also, before if he will honor us with the super chat song, please hit the damn like button. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Hit the like button. Please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. We got 430 people in the building. We got 279 likes. Let's get them likes over 300. Over 400. Shout out to my man Blue Blood Sports TV. Definitely trade that as copyright Blue Blood Sports TV. Let's get that over 400. KQ?
Yes, sir. Lowland Prophets in that suit. Chat. Appreciate you, Lowland Prophet. Yes, sir.
That's Alexander O'Neal, y'all. I'm telling y'all, man. I can tell you came up on P. Bryson, Alexander O'Neal, James Ingram there, man. You the man, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's get. We got another super chat come in. Let me refresh it so I make sure I'm missing. Youngstonian Museum. You funny, man. Shangtonian Museum. That's like, what is that? The Smithsonian Museum. Style make fights. Fights bring belts. Owners change belts. Fights lose style. Dang, I like that. And man, the African Sci-Fi Scout said if Shakir makes it up to 154 strategically, he could be a 6th division world champ. He's only an inch shorter than Lara. Yes, sir. Yep. KQ, let's move over to my man Curtis Anderson, man. Let's talk about your homeboy, New Jersey's own, Newark's own. What you think about your young man out there doing them things?
Oh man, I'm really proud of Shakur, man. I wasn't on the bandwagon at first. We gave him a parade when he got the silver medal. I wasn't sold, and he got better and better. See, as a young fighter, things has to fall in place for you. He has Andre Ward and Terrence Crawford behind him, and people don't talk about this. Andre Ward is serious about this young man because he wasn't one of the commentators. He was, giving him advice and telling him what to do and how to do it. And early on in his career, last night is evident how this young man is being a boxer. When I say boxer, I mean a technical boxer. He's fighting what they call, quote unquote, American style, meaning rhythmic and perpetual motion, which I always bring up is so important because what rhythmic and perpetual motion would do, it will neutralize a lot of fighters, and it neutralized Joet Gonzalez. He was frustrated. He couldn't do nothing. When you look at fights like Mayweather Canelo, Mayweather Marquez, Whitaker, Chavez, the style that their Mexican counterparts bring can be very easily neutralized with footwork. And like we always used to say in the Lindy Shaw boxing gym, a fighter without footwork is like a blind man without a cane. And you saw it. It was evident. It was obvious. Shakur used the ring very wisely. He got his body out the way. Some of the body shots Gonzalez kept missing and missing and missing and missing, you know, and this is the product of a guy, you know, who's concentrating on the technical aspect of boxing. He's become a pure boxer. It may not be the most exciting, he may not be the most exciting fighter, because they realize that, hey, you know, as he move up in weight, he's going to have to box, you know, and Terrence Crawford and Andre Ward, excuse me, behind the helm, you know, he has a lot of upside, man. He has a lot of upside, because when he fights other American fighters, that's what he's going to need. You know, people like him and Devin Haney, you know, I like what I'm seeing from them. They're using their footwork and their athleticism. So when you combine skill, athleticism, and ring IQ and defense, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, he looked like Gene Tunney in there yesterday. I mean, beautiful. And that's how Gene Tunney used to fight, just like Shakur did last night. Beautiful footwork, you know, and stabbing him with the jab to the belly. You know, that's what you use, you know, when you're fighting an aggressive fighter that likes to come forward. Floyd Mayweather used it, you know, very effectively. You know, the straight left to the body. You know, it was a prima donna. It was a prima donna. Excuse me, I'm being distracted. It was a great performance by Shakur Stevenson. You know, I'm happy. You know, we all happy. We all talk about Shakur Stevenson in the gyms. You know, how he should fight at the Prudential Center in Newark. You know, he has a lot of upside, like I just said. You know, he's only going to get stronger. He's very young. You know, so expect him to be on the pound for pound list like in a couple of years, man. I mean, this guy's a real deal. I would love to see him and Gary Russell Jr. fight. You know, Josh Warrington don't want no smoke with or Shakur, because his style is all wrong. So anybody who fights Shakur and want to, you better get him now, because another year from now, it's going to be way too late. So, you know, my Brick City brethren, Shakur Stevenson, man, hey, keep honing your craft, man, and leave the girls alone and concentrate. And, hey, you know, the sky's the limit.
Yes, sir. It was a virtuoso performance, sir. I think that's what it's a virtuoso performance.
That's what I'm looking for now.
Yes, sir. Let me give my shot on it, man. God, man, you know, I hate it. I hate the fact that I didn't really get I'm gonna go to blood after that. I hate that I didn't really get to watch it as closely as I wanted to, because like an idiot, I covered the Regis Prograis Josh Taylor fight, and I thought Josh Taylor was going to win, and so I got some scotch because he's from Scotland. So I was like, you know, I'm gonna sip on some scotch, watch this shit, and man, I was excited, man. We had people in the chat, and all that, dog. I forgot it was the middle of the afternoon. So the fight was over. I was on tilt, and it was still fucking 6 o'clock. So I was like, oh shit, I ain't about to die covering all these fights, dog. So I had to cut out, man, and try to get a nap. Anyway, I woke up and was watching it on my phone, and Shakur Stevenson he looked like he was from the last half that I watched. It seemed to me, man, like I watched the fight, and I watched the first rounds, and I was like, oh, this fight's over, because he's just going to be able to move away from him. He's not Gonzalez is not going to be able to touch him. I did like Gonzalez towards the end of the fight, where he was just in desperation mode. You know, he hit Shakur with some pretty decent shots, you know, towards the end of the fight, where I thought, man, this kid could really punch, man. He did. He caught Shakur, but, you know, this is boxing. Everybody's going to get hit in boxing. The thing that makes me worry about Shakur, though, is that he's going to get that treatment from Bob Arum, because he's the type of fighter where he can outbox you, and if Bob Arum doesn't really get behind him and insist that these other champions fight him and really push him to the forefront, it just makes me worry, man, because I've seen other really, really great fighters who can hit and not be hit, right? Like Rigondeaux and Floyd Mayweather Jr. early in his career. just really, really good boxers that because they don't get because they're not running in there knocking people out, or because they don't, they don't fit the particular mode that promoter wants to sell. That makes me worry. That makes me worry for Shakur Stevenson, because he beat the guy hands down. He could probably do the same thing to Josh. He could do the same thing to Josh Warrington. I don't think he can do the same thing for Gary Russell Jr., but a fight between Gary Russell Jr. and Shakur Stevenson, you're going to have to be a really true boxing fan to enjoy, to enjoy the fight. Because if you get the wrong commentators, and the thing that Shakur has a couple commentators on that that are covering the fight that like him. It's not like he's being covered, like he's not having Jim Lampley, and who was the other guy? Jim Lampley and Teddy Atlas calling the fight, where they're going to complain about everything that the dude does. That fight last night for Shakur Stevenson, it worried me for Shakur Stevens just for that reason. But what you see is a guy that can win. That if you can't fight, he can get you out of there. But if you're coming at him aggressively, he's gonna fight. He's gonna fight to win the fight. And that's what you're supposed to do. It makes me worried for the fact that he's with Top Rank, and that's not really an organization that tends to push fighters like that. They didn't do it with Terrence Crawford. They didn't do it with Floyd Mayweather. They don't do it with Floyd Mayweather Jr. They didn't do it with Guillermo Rigondeaux. So that part of it worries me a little bit. Worries me a little bit about that for Shakur. Here goes the let me get this the super chat that came through. My man Dlo404 said, one bad habit Shakur is keeping his mouth open. You can get your jaw broken like that. And he was keeping his hands a little low for me, but he's got the footwork to get out of the way of most of that. Blood, what was your take on Shakur Stevenson?
Okay, man, damn. I was hanging upside down on my inversion table. Sorry about that. I had to hurry up and get my ass back over here. Before you go with that, let me answer this guy here. The Boxing Goods, he says, Blood, Kirk, can you remember when another sanctioning body mandate another champion to fight for their belt like the WBC did Loma? It's kind of a similar situation. See, you guys don't watch my Retro Boxing and Documentaries page, man. When Jose Luis Ramirez had the WBC belt, the WBC wanted to be connected to the WBA champion, which was Julio Cesar Chavez. Okay, Chavez came in and he won he moved up from super featherweight to lightweight and won the belt. Pete Chapo won the belt. And see, what happened was the WBA wanted Chavez to be their champion. So they kind of mandated it in a way because they made some agreement behind the scenes to have Chavez and Ramirez fight for that unification bout. So they basically mandated it then. I'm going to make this real brief so Trap House could get on. Trap House got some other stuff going on today. So let me give you a real brief on what I think happened last night. Stevenson looked good in this one, okay? The counter punching was on point. The footwork was there, quick reflexes. It's extremely hard to hit Stevenson, okay? I mean, like Kurt, Big Bro Kurt Sugar just said, and he has some fast footwork, man. Man, that guy's lightning fast, man. As of right now, he's a title holder, a very talented title holder. So is Haney. So is Tank Davis. Stevenson now has one of the several titles down there. We need unification so I can get an idea of who these small guys are, though, man. I didn't find out until yesterday that there was some kind of beef between Stevenson and Gonzalez. That just shows you how much I follow these guys, okay? They had some kind of beef. It has to do with Gonzalez's sister. Maybe they don't like the young brother for their sister and for their daughter, the dad. And sometimes Stevenson does have this kind of punk kid attitude. But so does Tank Davis and Erickson Lubin and most of the guys in that age range. Many of us were asshole kids, okay? Shit, probably all of us up in here who like boxing, we were probably asshole kids at one time. I know I was. Who the fuck wanted to be in a hardcore relationship when we in our early 20s. But he does need to slow down on, like Big Kurt said, he does need to slow down on some of the shit, some of the activity outside the ring that I've heard of. Okay. Other than that, though, man, a very talented fighter. He could do it all, man. I mean, his reflexes are quick. He catch the punches, in and out the pocket very, very fast, man. It's just the footwork, bro. The footwork is unbelievable. The reflexes, his power, will it carry up? Because I don't think he's going to stay at featherweight. There's no fucking way. Look at how broad his shoulders are. He's going to end up being a lightweight, super lightweight, maybe even a welterweight. I mean, you got to remember, these guys are in their early 20s. When you start talking guys like Stevenson, Tank Davis, Devin Haney, even Erickson Lubin, even though he took a loss to Charlo, I put him in that group of guys, that young group of guys, Lopez, all these guys are really young fighters, man. And they're not going to end up being in the weight classes they're in now. But, man, that's all I got to say, man. I'm going to let Fanon carry that over to Trap House Boxing.
All right, Trap House Boxing. First of all, y'all don't know Trap House Boxing. You guys need to get Trap House Boxing right this second. Excellent channel. Somebody please put the subscribe button, the link to Trap House Boxing in the comment section. And please just take his time. You can hit the link without leaving the stream. Go hit subscribe. Go hit the bell icon while you're listening to Scrap talk about these points. We talked about a lot of things in this video so far. Scrap. We talked about the WBC franchise champion. So I'm gonna ask you, just to give your thoughts on maybe 3 or 4 of these subjects. I'll ask them to you back to back till you're caught on into what we're talking about. Then we'll ask about what's going on, what your opinion of these fights are, so we can just bring you in the loop. What are your thoughts on the franchise champion and the recent rulings by the WBC this week, where they postponed any type of mandatory for Dillian White, title shot for Dillian White out a year, and they gave franchise championships to Vasily, and they gave a franchise champion to Vasily Lomachenko?
Well, first of all, man, I mean, I'm in agreement with the whole boxing community on that. I think it was a bunch of baloney. It was a protection move. I don't think that nobody should have a superior title, invisible title, to be able to pick and choose who you want to fight. And if that's the case, they should have granted Floyd Mayweather and all those other guys prior to this the same privilege. Because I mean, if you look at it, man, it's like a slap. It's like a slap in the face to a lot of the fighters before, like Canelo, Lomachenko. You got like Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson, all those guys. All these old WBC guys who's WBC champions. And you look at the Riddick Bowe situation, you really can't be mad at Riddick Bowe for throwing the belt in the trash can. Looking back at it now, we wouldn't have knew, the Fugazi moves that they were gonna put down. But you can't be mad at them because it's like a slap in the face. You basically saying that these guys here are the best thing smoking since sliced bread. You understand what I'm saying? And that ain't right. So you got guys like Ali. I know he's turning over, and all the other past greats. So that's what I think about the WBC thing. I don't like it, man. It's destroying the sport. I heard Terrence Crawford talk about it on the Boxing Voice. He said he ain't into the all these silver belts and franchise belts and all this other crap. Heard Deontay Wilder say he tired of all the confusion in the sport too. So if you're gonna give Lomachenko and Canelo these privileges, why you ain't giving Deontay Wilder, his franchise belt? If that's the case, he done defended his title, the green belt, more than anybody. Him and Gary Russell. You don't hear too many people talking about that. You know what I'm saying? These guys have been WBC champions for a while. You understand what I'm saying? Canelo, truth be told, Canelo had this privilege ever since after he lost to Floyd Mayweather. Canelo Ben had this been his little privilege, the franchise belt on the low. They just brought it to light right now. But he been getting these privileges where he can skip up and down these weight classes, pick and choose who he want to fight, and all that other stuff, and et cetera, et cetera. as far as the Dillian White thing, for now, I'm not up to date on the Dillian White thing. Kind of inform me on that so I can talk about that.
Dillian White, Dillian White is not going to be able to get a mandatory shot against Deontay Wilder if he gets cleared by UK, because you remember he tested positive for D-ball, right? And they provisionally suspended his mandatory status. The ruling that the WBC made was that now, even if the UK clears Dillian White, he will not get a shot against Deontay Wilder until at least 2021. And there's a bunch of people saying that that's unfair, that Dillian White had been the mandatory for 600 days, all of that type of stuff. That's the background on it.
Well, to be honest with you, man, I think a situation like that with Dillian White, I think, I mean, why does he deserve to be a mandatory after all this, even after 2021? I mean, he should basically just, to me, in my opinion, he should work his way back up through the top 10. But that's the politics of boxing. I understand that. But I wouldn't even be mad, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be mad if you can't clear Dillian White, right? And if Wilder get past Ortiz, I wouldn't be mad if Wilder just go ahead and just get Dillian White ass up out of here, man. And that'll really put Eddie Hearn in a tight spot. Not and I'm not saying that, you know, to be, you know, vindictive and nothing against Eddie Hearn. I'm just saying, like, that'll kill all that extra little chatter. We ain't got to worry about Dillian White no more. You know what I mean? Harping and pulling on Wilder nuts to get a fight. You know what I mean? Because we already know, regardless, whatever, 2020, 2022, 21, he's still going to lose. So I would rather see Wilder just go ahead and knock him out now and get him on out the way, bro. To be honest with you. I don't care if he on PEDs or not. He still can't beat Wilder. What's your next question for now?
All right, now we on. I think we caught up with now we're on the recent fights, man. What were your thoughts on? That was the last question was just addressed. What are your thoughts on Stevenson? Shakur Stevenson's fight last night with Joey Gonzalez.
You know, I don't really want to sound cliches and say the same thing everybody been saying, you know, but I mean, y'all pretty much covered everything. I thought that Shakur, he looked amazing last night. You know, Kurt said it pretty much. Kurt and Blood pretty much said it. You know, the jabs to the body, the perpetual movement, the ring IQ, the whole nine. But I want to touch on this though, man. See, what people fail to realize is that the whole situation with the sister deal. See, I dated a Mexican. You know what I mean? So I understand what they're going through. And to answer your question, Blood, it ain't even about that. Shakur Stevenson being you know, cocky and all that, bro. It ain't even that. The thing is that a lot of Mexican people, Spanish people in general, this is no disrespect to the Spanish community. The Spanish people in general do not like they relatives, they sisters or whatever, or brothers, they not especially fucking with black folks. I'm just trying to be real with y'all. They don't like them fucking with niggas, man. I'm just here to tell you. And they all think, a lot of them think that this is their perception about us. This is what the Mexican my girlfriend father said to me, to me, said that all the black men they love women. They like to have a whole bunch of women. You know, so in their mind, they think that all we want to do is just smash shit, which is a lot of us. It is true. You know, that's the truth. You know, statistic wise, but you know, they and plus they don't know racists want them want them fucking with niggas, man. That's just the real, you know. And back to, but I want to say this to say that all ties on to that WBC thing too, though. And Famous brought something up in his live stream that I didn't think about. He was saying that maybe that they trying to punish Gary Russell Jr., trying to strip him, saying if he don't fight 3 times in a year, to what he did to Leo Santa Cruz's father. I mean, I'm not saying that it's true, but I didn't think about that. You know, maybe it could be it has some validity to that. So, and yeah, the WBC is a racist sanctioned body, man. It is, you know. It's obvious they didn't get none of the brothers that privilege. not to jump back and forth, but you get what I'm saying. I said all that to tie all that into that.
Hey, absolutely, man. I got you. What are your thoughts? Now let's move on to the next fight, man. The Robert Easter versus Granados. So I'll start with you, Trap, man. What did you give you the first time to cook on that, man? What do you think about Adrian Granados and Robert Easter Jr.'s fight last night?
Well, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I've been like probably the worst critic on YouTube far as being on Robert Easter, man. I've been real hard on Robert Easter, man. And I gotta admit, I even picked him to lose. I picked Granados to lose the win last night. Robert Easter, I gotta eat my crow in front of I don't know how many people in here, but yeah, I'm gonna eat my crow. I don't got no problem with that. Robert Easter surprised the hell out of me last night. He looks better at 140 than he do at 135. At 135, man, I almost gave up on him if he would have stayed at 130. I did give up on him, but last night he looks real sharp, crispy. His defense tightened up a little bit more, even though he still need to get more defensive responsible. He still like to bang in the inside, and I thought he looked real good, man. I thought his power is a little bit more sharper, maybe, at 140. You can see the crisp in his punches at 140, versus at 135. It didn't seem like he didn't have it just seemed like he didn't have no substance to it on his punches. But another thing is that I seen him slow down on smothering his work in this fight more. I seen him creating more space and more leverage, getting good leverage on the shots against Adrian Granados. But the truth be told, man, it was so hard for me to score that fight because it was a good phone booth fight. All I seen was just straight up war. I ain't complaining about the outcome. Yeah, you could say Robert Easter won the fight, or you could arguably say it was a draw. I thought, like, after the first 2 rounds, it was just a bunch of swing rounds. It was just you see Granado's head get popped every which way 3-4 times, and you see Robert Easter head get popped 3-4 times. And they just doing this all night long. So when it's like that, it's hard to score a fight like that, bro. It's just a war. You know what I'm saying? It's just a war. So, but I thought Robert Easter looked good. But on the flip side, I don't know if Danny Garcia just beat the life out of Adrian Granados, bro. I thought that. I don't know, man, because the way Danny beat Adrian Granados in that last fight, he beat him. Sean Porter didn't even do that. I thought great Adrian Granados gave Sean Porter hell. But Danny really took something out of Adrian Granados. And that's not taking nothing from Robert Easter. But I kind of felt like it was a strategic move because this your first fight at 140 and you picked Adrian Granados. That kind of fucked me up. That kind of fucked me up. But I see why, but credit to Robert Easter, he did his thing. He looked good. He fought on the inside, that's what he wanted to do anyway. He was boxing on the outside real good, but as soon as Adrian Granados came inside and made it rough and wanted to fight the inside, that's all Robert Easter wanted. He obliged him. That's what he wanted right then and there, and he didn't really change up anything. He might have boxed a little bit after that, and that was it. But it was a good fight. I ain't mad at the outcome. It wasn't no robbery. But I don't agree with that 116 to 112. That was trash.
Yes, sir. Hey, we got 451 people in the building, 371 likes. Let's try to get those likes up to 400. Also, make sure you go to Trap House Boxing and subscribe. He puts out some of the best content, usually in the morning, right? Trap out and let them know how to get in contact with you, man.
Mine be just simultaneously, man. Just hit the notification icon bell. You don't never know when I'm gonna drop nothing here. I just do shit on at the spur of the moment. But before you pass the mic, Fanon, I just want to say one more thing, man. If y'all go back and watch that fight, man, y'all check out the way how Robert Easter was putting them combinations together. That shit was beautiful last night. That's all I got.
That's what's up. All right. KQKC, man, did you watch the Robert Easter fight or were you on the ESPN fight? What'd you take on that fight?
Yeah, I was both of them really. But I was watching more of Shakur than Robert Easter, But Robert Easter, I went back and looked at it, and yeah, I was surprised at Robert Easter Jr., because I'm thinking, okay, he tried to fight like Diego Corrales used to be fighting like Diego Corrales. He wasn't an inside fighter. He never was an inside fighter to me. But last night he wanted to fight on the inside. He used his reach. He did fight tall. You know, all them attributes that he has, he never did really use them. But now he knows that, hey, look, I got something I can use, which I don't know why he never did. You know, there's no way he couldn't use his reach to keep Mikey Garcia off his ass. But last night, he stopped Adrian Granados from doing what Adrian Granados always do. It's two gyms in Chicago. One where Joshua Greer trains and one where Adrian Granados trains. Now, Adrian Granados' gym, they specialize in roughhousing. That's what they do. Joshua Greer gym specialized in fundamentals, you know, the basics, you know. And Adrian Granados, he's rough. He gave Sean Porter some problems, you know. And I thought that he was gonna go in there and do worse than Mikey did, but he didn't. Robert Easter Jr., you know, it wasn't no robbery, you know. It was just pure boxing. Robert Easter Jr. growing up too. You know, he's learning how to box. Now, I think he should put on a little more weight, but, you know, that's his first time fighting at that weight class. And he looked pretty good, you know. And we have to admit, you know, Adrian Granados, he been getting a lot of bum deals. You know, sometimes, you know, he always can get there, but he can never finish. You know, he always run that race, but can never get over that finish line. You know, but Robert Easter Jr. now, he surprised me, and I know Junior the Truth, he's saying some shit, right? Because I told him, you know, but Robert Easter Jr. He's now learning how to really be the boxer that he could be. You know, he's learning how to fight inside, get down, you know, and get in that booth and bang. Now he knows how to use his reach. It depends. You know, that's why I say, you know, you don't know what you might get in there with another opponent. So you have to learn how to adjust on the fly. You know, that's that ring IQ thinking, you know. So therefore, he did it last night because he probably was expecting Adrian Granados just come at him, which he tried, but that jab would stop anybody in their tracks, you know. Like we were saying about Shakira, he boxed beautifully last night, you know, and Robert Easter Jr. did too. You know, he boxed and he showed everybody that, hey, look, I'm not no bum. I ain't gonna let Mikey whoop my ass and that's it. I'm coming back. I'm coming back better, and that's what he did. And you know what? I'm proud of him because I didn't want him to end up like Adrian Broner, you know. Okay, he was good at first, but now he, you know, tapered off. And of course, Adrian Broner said he retired. Okay, good. Well, I see you later. But I think he got a future at 140. I think he can grab a belt at 140. And that's all I have.
All right, hey man, I'm gonna try to combine stuff because we got to get some stuff to get through. We don't have a lot of time left in the stream because I'm gonna definitely try to respect. We're going a little bit over, but we're definitely gonna try to respect some other channels that I know are gonna have live. I see some people got some stuff that they trying to do. Let me go back to Trap House. Trap House, what about your book? Let's talk about Erickson Lubin. Go through Erickson Lubin quickly. Then we're gonna have Kurt and Blood talk about Erickson Lubin and Erickson Lubin and Robert Easter fight at the same time. Then we're gonna go through Josh Taylor thing and then Josh Taylor Prograis thing and wrap it up. Trap, talk about your Florida boy Lubin. What you see for your boy Lubin?
Oh man, my bad. Lubin looked good last night, man. You know, I still had the questions about the whole Charlo situation. It was hard for me to rival Lubin, man. I didn't know if I trust him or not, even though he did stop Ishe Smith. But I thought Ishe Smith was just too slow to even beat Erickson Lubin. But the chin is what I was wondering about, and he didn't really get hit too much, you know, for me to really gauge anything. But he boxed beautiful last night. man, he beat Nathan Gallimore from round 1 to round 10. You know, he should have stepped on the gas, bro, like he did in the 12th round. He could have stopped Gallimore. Like, see, he could have stopped Gallimore, man. Gallimore ain't have nothing for Lubin, man. He boxed. He came forward. You know, he pretty much did everything he needed to do last night. Good body shots, countering him, hooking. You know, just the whole night. He did everything last night. You know, so but yeah, he looked good. He looked like he coming back. You know, getting his confidence built back up. I'm curious to see if what's his next move and how would he fare against Charlo again, man. I definitely want to see that again, man. You know. I don't know if I think that, you know, the first time they fought, whether it was a fluke or not. I just want to see the best Lubin versus Charlo. At least go past the first round.
KQKC. Erickson Lubin, did you get a chance to watch that?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch Eric Lubin. I'm sorry, I missed that fight. I was on.
No worries, man. Can't cover them all. Curtis Anderson, man, what do you think about those two fights on the Showtime card?
Well, my take on Easter, always been tough on Easter, man. He doesn't use his height properly. He should have took Granados out. Granados is damaged goods. Just like Trap said, Danny Garcia took it out of him. You know, I thought early in his career, Easter lost to Shakarov, the Russian dude, and he definitely lost to Fortuna. I know he wasn't going to beat Mikey. He just has a low ring IQ. He can be better than what he is. You know, he smothered his punches sometimes, man. He got to fight at distance. You know, he's a long, lean fighter. You know, pop that jab out there and come with that straight right hand, you know, give him some distance, man. He fought on the inside. It was a good fight, you know, but he made the fight a lot harder than what it's supposed to be. But I was never a big Robert Easter fan. And let's get to Erickson Lubin. I'm very big on him, man. You know, he's a very subtle and cerebral fighter. He does little things. If you're a hardcore boxing fan, you see the angles he got down packed, man. His footwork, you know, not like using a ring, you know, but just his foot placement. You know, he throws good combinations. He has power, but he could box. Those guys like him and J-Rock and Tony Harrison, man, they're the same prototype. They're very dangerous fighter. They're very subtle. They can box. They give angles, man. They throw good combinations. They have good corners. They're in the same mold. So Lubin is going to be a major player in that division, man, because I would love to see him and Charlo rematch. Charlo, you know, as you know, has unfinished business, but you could throw those guys in a pot and make gumbo, man. There's a lot of sharks at 154, and you can add Lubin, man. Very good fighter. Gallimore is not easy. Him and J-Rock fought. You know, Gallimore is a handful. I remember he beat Justin Deloge, upset him, you know, but he beat Gallimore from pillar to post, man. You know, and like Trap said, he could have stepped on the gas, but sometimes when you're successful at something, you know, you keep doing it. You know, he didn't get the knockout, but, you know, look good this one. Win this one, look good the next one, even though he looked really good, because he's showing me that he's a top-notch boxer, man. Very impressed with Lubin.
Blood boxing. I know you've been sitting on the sidelines for a while, going through your spreadsheet. What are your thoughts on those two fights?
Going through my spreadsheet. Man, you crazy, man. I was hanging on my version table, man, taking care of myself. But anyways, Robert Easter and Granados, man, that was a good fight. Those guys went toe-to-toe. Robert Easter is not the young talent of Haney, Davis, Stevenson, or even Lubin for that matter. He takes too many punches, in my opinion. He doesn't use his height. In my opinion, he still at times wasn't using his height correctly, like Kurt Anderson said. He did let them punches go. He came out firing. He let them punches go, though. Spectacular combination punching. Granados kept coming forward, though. Granados was more than willing to go toe-to-toe with him. I also believe that he should probably take a fighter like Granados out, but I'm not really that sold on Robert Easter. I don't think Robert Easter is going to have a very long career. You know, he's that slender body. Granados started trying to go to the body, but he's just not strong enough to take advantage of, that slender body of Robert Easter Jr. Fighters that fight with his style don't last for a very long time. Hopefully, he could make some noise where he's at now. You'll have plenty of belts to grab in that division because I do believe that Josh Taylor will be moving up. He might fight Ramirez and Unify, but I do believe that plenty of those belts will be open, and Robert Easter Jr. could probably pick up one more belt, but he's not a fighter that's going to be around for the long haul, man. As far as Erickson Lubin, man, that's my boy. I don't think that he should fight Charlo again right now. You do have to remember that Lubinson has an age advantage over those guys, man. The guys that are in their early 20s and the guys that are in their later 20s, like Charlo and them, those guys are a little bit more developed. He just caught Lubin at a very young stage in his career. Plenty of fighters have taken losses early in their career like that. I mean, that was a pretty bad knockout loss, though. So it kind of makes you question his chin. If he gets in there with the right guy who could land that shot against him, how good does Lubin do? There's still some questions out there to be answered on Lubin. That fight was not enough to get those questions answered. So, we'll see down the line with Lubin how much noise he can make at 154. There are some very good fights for him there. Jermell Charlo would probably end up moving to middleweight somewhere down the line, maybe, and his brother will probably move up to super middle. I've already heard some talks about that. But Lubin, man, a very good fighter. He just went in there, did what he was supposed to do. He just coasted to victory. Very good fight for a Florida homie right there. But that's pretty much all I got to say about that. You know which fight I want to talk about.
All right, so we're gonna shift into that, man. We're gonna shift into this Josh Taylor Prograis fight. I'm gonna skip those two conversations, for the sake of time. I definitely think that Robert Easter, I'm a fan of Robert Easter. I'm happy that he won. I didn't see the fight closely enough to say whether or not, I would have scored it one way or the other. I just didn't really pay that much attention to it because, like I said, I was still kind of tired for having made that error in sipping too early in the day. So I had to put pause on it. And the other one, I did watch more of the Lubin fight but Lubin was just outboxing him. I love the way that he turned the guy. I thought that Gallimore was just a little raw. I saw Lubin fight in person on the undercard of the Charlo fight. He looked real good on that fight. So I think that I'd love to see him fight J-Rock. I want to see what he does against the other guys because, just like what happened with J-Rock got knocked out by Charlo, came back and won both belts. Same thing happened to Lubin. Lubin got knocked out by Charlo. Let's see if he can come back and get his hands on some belts. I think the young man looks really good. I want to talk about Josh Taylor, though. I'm going to get into this and Regis Prograis. Now, first, let me go to somebody I threw out of the channel because you really wanted me to give you your attention. So let me give you the attention that you want. Okay. For about 3 seconds on the chat yesterday, I said I thought that the fight was a robbery. Right after that, I said, maybe not. And congratulations to Josh Taylor. Let me tell you why exactly I am one of my main things about the sport of boxing that I believe in and I stay real consistent with. And I would appreciate, but I do not expect trolls like yourself to live up to. When a judge has scored a fight, the fighter that won on the Georgia scorecard won the fight. That's it. For me, that's it. Because I know that my opinion, number one, my opinion about who won the fight doesn't matter. I'm consistent with that with every fight. I have my scorecard. Personally, I thought Prograis won the fight. I thought Prograis won the fight because I saw him hitting Josh Taylor with a lot of body shots. I think Taylor came on in the middle of the rounds. I thought Josh Taylor won. I thought Prograis won the last couple rounds. And as a result, I thought he won the fight. But it's very reasonable because I came in the door saying I wanted Regis Prograis to win. New Orleans is my favorite city in the United States. I've had Regis Prograis on the channel. I've exchanged emails with Prograis and his wife. I like Regis Prograis. I want the best for Regis Prograis. So I know perfectly well with that context that I could be rooting for him, which is why I'm not a judge. Okay? I'm not a judge. So when the fight is over, whoever won the fight. Let's see a fight, either a rematch with Josh Taylor, Prograis, or see a fight between Josh Taylor and Ramirez. It was a good fight. It was a close fight. And my hat goes off to Josh Taylor. Okay? Now, you people looking for some vicarious, looking for some disjointed joy from the fact that you sitting on that AJ loss for so long, coming to my chat looking, oh my God, he said robbery. Yes, I did say robbery. And I immediately said, nah, it was a close fight. I could have scored too much this way or scored that much. But consistently on this channel, this is what I do. When the fight is over, whoever won the fight on the scorecard won the fight, because that is the only that's the only actual thing that occurred. I would love to be able to go to BoxRec and adjust Pernell Whitaker's loss, take one loss away from Pernell Whitaker and move it to the win column, go over to Oscar De La Hoya's, record, take one win off and put it in the loss column. But 20 plus years later, it ain't never going to change. Okay? What is this? Excuse me. He won the fight. Josh Taylor won the fight. Period. Now, why don't you use the same credit, use that same approach when you talk about Tyson Fury? Tyson Fury got put on his ass 2 times, walks out with a draw, but people like y'all just want to act like you guys are so stupid for thinking the guy won the fight. Dude, it was a close fight. Hats off to Josh Taylor. I thought Prograis won the fight. I would have scored the fight for Prograis because I scored the body work. But as far as what my prediction was for the fight, I was spot on. I said Prograis I thought Josh Taylor it's going to be a close fight, and Josh Taylor's going to get the decision because it's in London. That's what I said. And I believe that Josh Taylor is technically probably the better fighter, but he was going to get tested by Prograis. That's what happened. Both these guys, I think, are going to come out and get other fights. I don't think Josh Taylor is long for that division. He's going to move up to 147 pounds. And I like the cat. I've done pro videos for Josh Taylor for over a year now. Since the first fight that I did for Josh Taylor was his fight against what's the kid who used to wear the little blonde afro that he knocked out? O'Hare Davies. So you bandwagon Taylor fans trying to jump on this guy's bandwagon and try to don't try to rub in my face, Mr. Delight, that I got a prediction right. But again, I honor people's wins. Congratulations to Josh Taylor. He's the WBA IBF Unified Champion. I wish him the best. That guy fought a hell of a fight to get out of there against another guy that fought a tough fight. That's all there is to it, period. I do not think it was a robbery. I said robbery, and then I immediately was like, nah, because I'm thinking when I'm talking. I don't think it was a robbery. It was a fight that I would have scored for Josh Taylor. I would have scored for Prograis, but it is what it is. Congratulations to the young man. Now have some class about yourselves and do the same thing for other fighters where you don't necessarily think you don't agree with the scorecard. Because my scorecard is my scorecard, your scorecard is your scorecard, and yours is just as susceptible to what mine is susceptible to. Rooting for somebody that I like. I like Josh Taylor. I like Regis Prograis. I wish well for him. I wish well for his family. I thought it was a shame that he didn't get the fight with Jose Ramirez. He had to go to the World Champion Super Series, had to go to that series, and then he had to go to the UK and fight Josh Taylor in his backyard. So my hat goes off to both of those young men. Okay, now let's go back. Trap House, what were your thoughts on that fight?
All right, so I'm gonna be brutally honest with y'all. I thought that Josh Taylor just controlled the fight from round 2 on. I gave the first round to Regis Prograis. I thought that Josh Taylor was just filling them out. Regis Prograis was the more busy guy, landing those hard body shots, to the body. But as soon as Regis Prograis let Josh Taylor start getting inside in the second round and start imposing his will, I started to see Regis Prograis body language changed, especially in the third round. You know, second round it could have went either way, however you wanted to. But I leave that up in the air. But I kind of gave it to Josh Taylor. But it's a questionable round, you know, just to be nice with Regis Prograis. But the third round, I seen Regis Prograis body language, man. He was mouth all open, he breathing all hard. You know, he looking like, God damn, what somebody, it's an echo in the background. Oh, but
I'm
oh, okay. So you know, he breathing all hard, you know, he looking all around like, damn, he got that look like, man, what the fuck did I sign up for? You know what I mean? And as the fight go on, you know, Josh Taylor, you know, they in the pocket, they fighting, they banging, and you know, this is where I try to get people to understand where it got dicey at. Josh Taylor made Regis Prograis fight the fight that he liked. He made him question, did he really like the fight the way that he say he liked the fight? You understand what I'm saying? He took him in the inside, fought him in the pocket, made his hands go more than he wanted to let his hands go, kept him on the defense. As soon as Regis Prograis let his arsenal go, Josh Taylor immediately had him on the defensive. And I said this in my chat. I said in the third round, I said it's not looking good for Regis Prograis, because if he let Josh Taylor keep this pace up, if you can't keep Josh Taylor up off of him, this fight gonna get ugly. And surely, this is my opinion, it was competitive going back and forth like the action. But to me, I had it scored like, man, it was so many rounds all the way up to like the end, bro. I gave Josh Taylor like damn near every round from like the third on up to probably like the 11. To be honest with you, I'm gonna be honest. I was being nice saying it was 8-4, but I kind of had it 9-3, bro. I feel what everybody else saying. You know, Regis Prograis was letting his hands go. He was landing some good straight lefts on Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor couldn't get away from the straight left hands, but if you take and he's landing some good body work, but Josh Taylor was landing good body work on him as well. You know, he was in the pocket hitting him with uppercuts, turning the angles, pushing him around, leaning on him. You can look at Regis Prograis. He see, when you in the pocket in the inside, you just look at their body language. Regis Prograis, every time they're in the pocket, he got his head leaned all on Josh Taylor's shoulder. He looking like he about to fade the damn black, like he ready to get the hell up out of there, like he ready for this fight to be over with. You know, when you look at that type of body language like that, bro, you're not winning the fight. You're not winning the fight, especially when this guy's imposing his will and he steady pushing you back the whole fight. You never pushed him back hardly ever in the fight, maybe like once or twice, but it was just like far as like just getting some little rest in between the rounds. But it was kind of hard for me just to give Regis Prograis, like how people say they had it 5 rounds or they thought he won or whatever. I just didn't see that, man, because it was like both of the guys was landing good jabs. They was doing a good job landing 4 and 5 jabs at a time on each other. They was pumping that jab out. And if you notice, when in the pocket, when Josh Taylor, after Regis Prograis would work and Josh Taylor would keep Prograis on the defensive, Prograis would have to slip 5 and 6 jabs, and 2 or 3 of those jabs would land, and then he would have to get on offense again and play. It was the same old pattern over and over again. He didn't have the stamina or the conditioning to be able to keep up with that pace in that fight. And Josh Taylor knew that. That's why on the gloves off thing, he was saying that Josh Taylor was trying to size him up when he put him in the headlock, and Prograis was like, you know, I ain't on that. I don't do all that planning and all that. Josh Taylor was trying to size up his physicality. He was trying to get a better gauge of seeing how strong Regis Prograis was, but Prograis didn't fall for the bait. So he found out early in the fight that Prograis couldn't hurt him, and that was it. Go ahead, I'm done.
Let me ask you a question though, man. You score body language?
Hell yeah, man. Look,
you know, body language isn't. You don't score body language,
bro. Prograis looked like he been wanting to get out that ring by the 5th round, bro. He was just in there fighting off of pure pride. I'm telling you, I'm not saying that Prograis was just getting whooped. I'm not saying that at all, Fanon, but he got beat up. He got beat up, bro. He got beat up pretty decent in that fight. You know, he got bullied in the fight, man.
Man, okay, that's cool. Oh, Trappy went down. I just don't know, man, because I see what you're talking about, but I don't score body language. Like the fact that he looked like, I mean, you can interpret that he looked like he was tired or looked like he didn't want to fight, but you score fights on who lands punches, not necessarily whether or not somebody looks tired or not. That just seems that I can understand what you're saying. I don't score. I've never heard that you score body language.
And look, and say for instance, like and when they was in the pocket a lot, Prograis was landing a lot of body shots. Josh Taylor was landing a lot of body shots too. But if you look at it, man, Josh Taylor was hitting that dude with all type of hooks left and right, bro, in the pocket, snapping Regis Prograis head left and right, numerous of times. So who shots had the better effect on them when they was getting hit? For now, that's my question to you.
Oh, I think that the most effective punches that landed were Taylor's. I think the most punches that landed were Prograis. I thought Prograis was working him on the inside. Taylor's eye didn't just accidentally swell up like that. His shit looked like he had a fucking watermelon on his eye. He got hit with a lot of shit.
Oh, okay. For now, if that's the case, if his punches were so effective, why he couldn't keep Taylor up off of him?
Taylor was leaning into him. What I saw was when you're saying he was leaning on his shoulder, he was bumping him with his shoulder. He had a lot of tactics on the inside, but he would lean in forward with his shoulder. He was laying on the guy, pushing him back. I thought that was more of a matter of the referee letting him get away with gamesmanship more than it was anything else. Josh Taylor was hitting him after the bell. The ref never said anything. Josh Taylor is 2 inches taller than him, and he's a natural bigger guy, and was leaning on him with his shoulder. That wasn't Josh Taylor. That wasn't Regis like trying to get up underneath his shoulder. Josh Taylor was hitting him with his shoulder. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, but that's all part of phone booth fighting one-on-one, right? They've been doing that since the beginning of the time.
I mean, it is, but it don't score.
But
I mean, for me, and I can understand people. That's why I'm saying I respect the judges. And Josh Taylor won the fight, but I'm not going to score body language and whether I think he looked like he didn't want to be in there, if he looked like he should be in there. I mean, he looked to me. Josh Taylor looked like Regis Prograis looked like he beat him the last two rounds. I thought he won the first 2 rounds. I thought there were a lot of swing rounds, but that wasn't. I don't think that was some fight where Josh Taylor was just beating, just indiscriminately beating up Regis Prograis, and he didn't get a lot back. That dude's had like I said, his eye was a watermelon. At least that's how I saw it. But I can understand why people wouldn't see it that way.
See, but what I'm saying is this, Fanon. Even when they was going back and forth, Regis Prograis was not outworking Josh Taylor, bro. So every round, damn near most of the rounds, he was getting outworked. He was getting outworked, plain and simple.
I mean, okay, he won the fight. I didn't see any. I saw maybe 4 rounds where I thought Josh Taylor really carried the action for the whole round. I saw several rounds where I thought Regis Prograis did it, but most of Regis Prograis shots were inside shots to the body, and the more telling shots to the head I thought were Josh Taylor. But I mean, I don't think it was 8-4. I don't think it was 8-4 for. But that's my opinion. Like I said, man, people have different opinions about how they score fights. I don't score. I didn't see the body language thing, but that's just how I saw it. I can understand why you saw it that way. I mean, it's very reasonable. You're a very knowledgeable boxing fan. You got anything else on that, Trap? Because I do appreciate your opinion, man. I can see why you saw it the way you saw it.
No. That was pretty much it, though. I mean, but salute to Regis Prograis, though, man. Regis Prograis did, he had pure dog in him the whole fight. He did not lay down. He did what he had to do to make it through the fight, man. I just thought that he took a little brutal beating last night. They both took a little beating, but I just thought that he took the worst, just in my opinion. But that's it for now. You can pass the mic, bro.
Oh, fair enough, definitely. Hey, KQKC, how you see that fight? I can't hear you, KQ.
Your mic is muted, KQ.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. All right. Now I think Regis, in my opinion, I think he won. Because Regis kept his hands moving non-stop from round one to round two. And the body language I seen was like, okay, I'm working this. I'm taking my time. He doing this, and this and that. Josh is a taller guy. He got a longer reach. So he was trying to fight small. And so he was bumping him with his shoulder, bumping him, like Fanon said. And of course, that's what it's about. And when you in that booth, you bumping them and pushing them back. But every time Josh would hit him with one or maybe two, Regis would come back with a three-piece, wham, 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 wham. But towards the end of the fight, Regis, he turned it up. He turned it up. That's why I was saying, man, the 10th round, he was feeling pretty good, But, just one round, Josh Taylor eye. That's a hematoma that was on his eye because that was full of blood, It was shut, And that comes from when he hit him with that left, he fell into him with that left. And that made it even harder. But I think it was a close fight because I scored a fight and I have everybody in the chat score too. And it was pretty close. But, I have to be honest, Josh Taylor did win the fight because he was scoring the most punches, eye-opening punches. But Regis Prograis was throwing a lot of punches. So, therefore, I think the eye-opening punches, and plus, when you fighting at home or when you fighting away, you need to pretty much knock a person out. You gotta do what Floyd did. You gotta do what Earl Spence did. Make sure your ass come out of there with that belt. You can't, willy dilly, nilly dilly, whatever. You gotta win that fight. And you can't win by the scorecards, especially in the UK. We've seen all Anthony Joshua fights before, That's real talk. So, but it was a good fight, Matter of fact, that was one of the best fights. I had 9 hours of calling fights last night, and that was the best one I seen. Yeah. Except for the two girls who were fighting over top rank card. But that's about it, And that was a good fight, but Josh Taylor, I think he pulled it out, just all through the fight because he had the eye-opening shots. So that's all I have. I don't want to take up too much time. So
that's good, Curtis Anderson, man. What's your thoughts on that, man?
Very competitive fight. I had it a draw, but 7-5 Taylor, 7-5 Prograis. Either way, not a problem. A lot of swing rounds. Prograis underestimated Taylor's grit and determination. Both was landing body shots. Taylor was landing hooks to the head, but Regis' jab was landing, all throughout the fight. I thought you give Taylor credit because he showed a lot more grit than I thought. He's strong. He's a strong fighter. He was much stronger than I thought. And if I thought that, I'm quite sure Prograis thought that as well. I did see the body language, but like you said, I understand what Trap was talking about, and I understand where you're coming from. You can't score body language. Regis was in the fight, but a fight like that where the hometown fighter is aggressive and outworking his opponent, he's going to get denied 100 out of 100 times with the crowd going crazy and every punch, they cheering for every punch. So coming down the stretch, and I picked Prograis to beat Taylor, but it was a 50-50 fight. I'm not surprised at the outcome. Regis, even though he was using his upper body to evade a lot of punches, he still got hit with punches he didn't need to get hit with. on the inside. Taylor is long. Progress did real good body work. But, we have to give Josh Taylor credit more than what Regis didn't do to win the fight. Taylor's grit, he gritted that fight out, so I like to see a rematch, but I doubt there'd be any. My take on it, because my friends is asking me, I said, listen, on the big stage, Regis was talking about fighting Crawford, talking what he was going to do to Josh Taylor. But on the big stage, he wasn't good enough. Plain and simple. He wasn't good enough. And stay away from Crawford, because I got a feeling he's moving up 147. He didn't have the energy I thought he would have. Remember, the weigh-in, it took him 2 attempts to make 140. 2 attempts. So that tells me he needs to move up to 147. I don't think the welterweight division is going to welcome him with open arms. Crawford would the dog walk and manhandle Prograis. Prograis is a good fighter, but he has flaws, and those flaws were shown yesterday. There's always a fight that lets you know what do you have in a fighter. When Canelo and Trout, I kind of knew what fight Canelo was, and with Prograis and Taylor on the big stage, he just wasn't good enough, and I expected him to be better, and he wasn't. People could say Taylor won, Prograis won, or draw. I had it a draw, but I had no problem with the 115-113 scorecard for Taylor. I had no problem at all with it.
Blood boxing. What's your thoughts on that channel, man? And then we're gonna wrap up. We'll need everybody to know. Let me go through these super chats before Blood gives his expertise. And once again, man, thank you to Trap House for coming. I hope Trap can be a regularly scheduled guest to the channel, man. That is a fun debate back and forth, man. Much respect. And make sure y'all go and subscribe to Trap House Boxing. Let me get a couple of these super chats so we can walk out the door when we need to. Reese Mack in the build. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually missed for a while. Excuse me. Drew Titan in the building says, we need to stop these clowns from using the franchise status to compare these new guys to Armstrong. No doubt about that. Greg Wise said, Easter has always understand that he had attributes that allow him to box at a distance. Easter has to battle his natural tendency to bang inside. Reese Mack in the building, much love in that super chat. D-Lo 404 Boxing said Easter should train with a 2x6 strapped to his back. 2x6 strapped to his back, huh? James Johnson, much love in that super chat. Big Dog Willie said UK fans are now saying that Taylor can beat everyone at 147. That's why I started getting irritated by some fighters like Loma and Usyk. You know that's coming. You know that's coming. Excuse me. Let me get this. You know that's coming. The way the boxing works, that's why it's like I enjoyed Josh Taylor while it lasted. I'm a big Josh Taylor fan, man. I swear to God I am. Go look at my channels and all the videos that I've been doing on Josh Taylor since the O'Hare Davies fight. But I'm telling you right now, dude, it's going to become very quickly. It's going to be very difficult to be a Josh Taylor fan because you give it a week, and Errol Spence will be ducking him. Terrence Crawford can't beat him. Sean Porter ain't on his level. Who did he fight? Look at what Josh Taylor has done, unified in only 16 fights. All that shit's coming, and it's all going to be like, okay, the party's over. You get to enjoy the young man. You get to see what he can do, how he can fight. But now you're going to have these people these leeches that are going to try to attach themselves to his name. And like I said, man, I said this before the fight. This is going to be because I thought he's going to beat Regis Prograis. I thought he's going to beat Regis Prograis because he's a better, just a fundamental fighter. He's aggressive. He comes to you. You know what I mean? He's a soft. It was going to be a good fight, and I thought he was going to win it because it was in London. But man, I'm telling you right now, if y'all please do not do this to Josh Taylor. Please do not. Do not talk about how he beat Regis Prograis and now he's going to beat Errol Spence. That dude will get his ass beat half to death against Errol Spence Jr. He will get mauled and beat up by Sean Porter. Regis Prograis is not Errol Spence. Regis Prograis is not Sean Porter. He's not Terrence Crawford. Please do not do that to that young man. Do not put a battery in this young man's back and start talking all kind of craziness. He's 16, and what you're going to wind up happening is he's going to leave the UK. He's going to come to the United States because the PBC fighters aren't going to the UK. You're not getting Errol Spence Jr. to pack his bags and go fight him in Scotland. Okay, it's shit's not going to happen. Please do not ruin this young man. Let him fight Jose Ramirez, and also Jose Ramirez is going to go over there and fight Josh Taylor because Bob Arum will want to sign Josh Taylor. But man, please let's not do that. Anyway, man, sorry, man, I went on that too long. Then, man, 78 Sports TV is coming on next. Huge support for the channel. He said this is a paid advertisement. 78 will be on live after OG Boxing Talk. Y'all know Trap House love JT Money, aka Josh Taylor. No doubt about it. Much love. Big shout out in that super chat, man. And definitely go to 78 Sports TV coming up next. African Skyfi Scholar said Regis landed the harder punches, but Taylor was touching up whenever. Taylor had the ring gentlemanship. Regis couldn't take over. No doubt about it. Go ahead, Blood. Oh, Boxing Talk with Reggie Owens. I missed this last one. Let me get this last one. Oh my God, I missed a few of them. D-Style Boxing said Josh Taylor is the modern day Braveheart 2.0. D-Lo 404 said when Taylor outgrows 140, he may well retire, in my opinion. IFBBLG9 said great chats, fellas. Thanks for the content, man. Thank you for the support. Boxing Talk, Boxing Conversations. Reggie Owens said salute OG Boxing Ties, man. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the support. You there, Blood?
I'm here, man.
All right, go ahead, man. Sorry for so long.
Yes, okay. Let's go ahead and finish this out, man. Taylor versus Prograis. First of all, the 78 Sports TV, he said about Trap House with JT Money. And I'll tell you what, though. The funny thing is that I had never heard of Josh Taylor until I started listening to some of the guys around the LDBC talk about Josh Taylor. I never heard those guys over there. I used to be subscribed to some of those British channels before I found out they was all a bunch of fakers and didn't respect the sport because they want to promote guys. They want to promote cheating in boxing. They want cheaters to be ranked #1 and things like that. But when I was following these guys, I didn't hear nothing about Josh Taylor. Crickets. Nobody was talking about this guy, Josh Taylor. The guy who I really heard talking about Josh Taylor was Trap House Boxing. And I thought I thought for real he was talking about JT Money. Shit, the way, we Florida boys, but that Oklahoma side came out in him. But let me say something about judging a fighter, basically scoring a fight based on a fighter's the way he reacts to something. Okay, that falls under ring generalship. Ring generalship is the ability of a boxer to dictate the pace, style, and tactics. So you can't score body language. That does fall under the category of ring generalship, by the way. But I had the fight scored 115 to 113 for Taylor. Both fighters went well to the body. Both brought that heat. Both landed big shots, hooks and jabs. Regis had some great head movement, but most of that head movement came from Taylor's probing of the jab. When he was probing and trying to establish distance, Regis was kind of moving in with his head and things like that. So, it wasn't as impressive as it looked, okay? Because, a lot of things look impressive to the eyes, but, it was just basically Taylor was just probing with the jab is all that happens. Taylor used them legs, and Taylor does have pretty good footwork and placement and things like that. Taylor used them legs to get in and out of the pocket at times. At times, he did have some problems with Regis' hand speed. Regis also found a home with that left hook and the uppercut. Josh landed some great hooks and some uppercuts himself. It was a throwback classic. Josh Taylor displayed the edge in ring generalship. He was in fact, not just the edge, he displayed ring generalship throughout that whole fight. He set the pace of that fight, the style, and the tactics. They were being utilized by Josh Taylor. So that's why I can understand where Trap House Boxing is coming from. Taylor was also the bigger man. He imposed his will on Prograis that time. He broke Prograis' nose. Taylor's eye was fucked up. I don't know if that came from a headbutt. There were some people talking about it probably came from a headbutt. I don't know. All I know is that Prograis was found a home with that left, and he was landing it to the point to where Taylor's eye was fucked up at the end of the fight. This looked like a 1945 classic. When these guys came out of the fight, man, shit looked like a throwback Graziano Jake LaMotta fight or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Taylor will not lose until he gets to the welterweight division, okay? I know Jose Ramirez is out there. As of right now, because these guys participated in a tournament, Taylor is the closer thing to a champion, because I have a real problem calling these guys champions. But after you went through a fight like that and went through a tournament, I'm calling you a champion, okay? So Ramirez needs to get on page with these guys because he didn't participate in the tournament, okay? So if he could come in, he could beat Taylor. If they start fucking around and they can't make this unification bout, then fuck Ramirez, because Taylor called him out at the end of the fight. He said, hey, what is this guy at? So he called him out right at the end of the fight. It was a close fight. Don't get me wrong. Regis Prograis, he made a great account of himself and showed himself as a great fighter, okay? But he just didn't have enough for the bigger Taylor, who was leaning on him. And to me, Taylor got the harder punches off too, man, in the pocket. But, hey, I got it right. Once again, when it comes to boxing predictions, I'm Nostradamus. When it comes to boxing predictions, Fanon, he's more like Gomer the Pile. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to try to, change his outcome after, when I know I heard him say that he had, my boy Prograis. But it's all good, though. Well, I understand, man. That's pretty much all I got to say, man.
Well, good. I'm glad that's all you got. Because I might be first of all, I have it on multiple videos when I made that prediction. I have 4 videos up about that where I say that, and people can attest. But I might be the Gomer Pyle. Of predictions, but you the Gomer Pyle of literacy. Because let me go back here to what ring generalship says: the ability to boxer to dictate, which means make somebody else do something. The pace, that's how fast. The style, whether you're fighting inside, whether you're fighting outside, and the tactics that you use in the bout vis-a-vis his opponent. Nowhere in there does that say your emotions, whether you got a poo-poo face on or not. Because if that, my friend, was what you said is the definition of ring generalship, then Tyson won the fight against Fury won the fight against Wilder. Because when he stuck his tongue out, went nah, and stuck his hands behind his back and looked all excited, that means he won the round. Because that's your definition of ring generalship. The emotion that somebody has in the fight.
Hold on, man. Hold on. You be cutting me off all the time. So
no. I didn't cut you off at all. I let that whole pro Florida shit roll, and I waited till I pointed you to the word.
Go ahead, man.
It does not mean you are saying that the way that I heard it, let me finish now. The way I heard it was that Trap House said he looked like he didn't want to be in there. He looked like, man, I don't really want to do this. That is a subjective reading of facial expressions and body language. That is not what style of fight we're having, whether or not we fighting on this whether I make you go left, whether I make you go right. If that is ring generalship, then give a
reaction to the pace, to the style, and the tactics. You know what I'm saying? So he
then Tyson Fury should have won a Deontay Wilder fight because he looked all happy with the tactics, his work battles, doing all kind of shit. Ain't that ring generalship then?
Action to the tactics and the style and the pace.
Hey, Blood.
He wanted to get the fuck out of there. He was looking around like, shit, somebody save me here. Is there any Americans around here? Please save me. That's a reaction to the style, to Josh Taylor dictating the pace, the style, and the tactics.
No, that ain't what Trap said. Trap said he looked like he didn't want to be in there. That is a detective. You are trying to read that motherfucker's mind.
All right, Fanon. Look,
take the tactics.
That's not ring generalship, man.
Hey, Fanon.
You digging too deep into the definition. The man wanted to get
the definition. It literally says dictate the pace, style, and tactics. Where is your facial expression? Is a facial expression a pace?
It's a reaction to
style,
the pace, the style, and the tactics. His Payette kind of did. It does come into pace because his ass was trying to find a way out the fucking ring. Shit, he was pacing himself out the fucking ring. Like shit, somebody save me, get me the fuck out of here. This man's pace, style, and tactics was too much.
Propaganda.
Check this out, Fanon. Look. All right, so I'm gonna ask you a question. When you look at the AJ Ruiz fight, what that body language look like? Was that ring generalship? Was that dictatable? Did he want to keep going?
When he got knocked down and spit his mouth out? That's a knockdown.
Hold up. When he stood in the corner and say, "Do you want to go?" And what AJ did, he put his arms on the rope like, "Shit, I ain't trying to get off these ropes." And with the ref,
he got up from a knockdown,
bro.
He got up from a knockdown and didn't have his mouthpiece in his mouth. That was an actual knockdown, and he was asked move forward. He didn't move forward.
Okay. He was at the rope. But what did his body language do? Did it go forward?
That's an actual movement. He did not respond to a command from a ref.
No, don't do that. Don't do that, Fanon. His body language didn't go forward, so the ref.
Look, man, then you could say a knockdown is body language. You could be like, he got knocked on his ass. Look at his body language.
All right, Fanon.
Oh, shit, the Florida boys done got him. The Florida boys done got him. Hey, Trap.
Facial expressions, dog.
Before I forget, before we end this, don't ever disrespect Vinny Paz like that again, man. You know Lomachenko can't do nothing with no Vinny Paz.
That's right.
No Greg Algan. He can't do nothing with what's a man named the Puerto Rican Rosario. Man,
he can't fuck with him. He can't fuck with no Rosario. He can't fuck with Vinny Paz. He can't fuck with Greg Hogan. He can't fuck with no 80s lightweights.
Hell no. You know dudes ain't built like that today, man.
Look, man. Hey, hold on. We got to break this up, man. Hey, Trap, are you going to accept the invitation to come on the show on a regular basis, man? You add a lot of flavor to it. Definitely love you being on the channel, man. Hope you come back very, very soon.
Hey, I'm going to end this on you. Like Bud say, send the contract, Earl.
Hey, dog, we've been sent the contracts. But all right, we'll ask for more money. You know, Trap said he wanted to speak first and last on every subject. So hold up. But we can make it happen. Anyway, man, look, man, y'all make sure, man, much love. Hey, Trap, thank you for coming to the channel, man. We love the back and forth. That was excellent. Look, man, everybody go over to my man 78 Sports TV, and we apologize to everybody whose programs we pushed back because this show went a little long, man, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. We got that 447 likes, and with that, we out. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.